All right. And we are both live. The last word with Ebontis and some friends.
We got a group.
We got a group campfire going on right now. First, what's going on with you, Ebontis, man? How you doing, man?
Oh, pretty good. Got my workout in this morning and just trying to always find time to get stuff in. But I'm really pumped for Sekiro. It launched.
Woo!
It was going to be last night, but I was like, get up early, get my workout in, get the podcast in, get a video done. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to be doing that whole thing basically live on Twitch the whole time, which is kind of terrifying because I'm going to have many deaths as I learn why it's not Bloodborne and Dark Souls. I've watched, decent amount of videos to know the changes that are coming, but yeah, I'm going to die a lot.
Absolutely, man. I hear you.
I'm really, really pumped. Like those games are like beyond frustrating, but also have like the highest levels of like satisfaction.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely.
I just hope there's nobody like the Nameless King. Otherwise, I'm going to cry.
Fair enough. And we got actually a Souls fan in here as well as a Destiny fan. My man from Lords of Gaming.net, one of our best young authors in the game, prep fighters. My man Josh Redden. What's up, Josh?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to talk with Destiny to people more than just my wife, who is over it at this point.
I'm sure she's like, I'm good.
No way, man. She is, with those power surge bounties from the Drifter, she is now a higher light level than I am, and she is working. She's putting in the work. So
there we go.
No, it's good stuff. I'm glad to be here.
What class you run? I gotta know.
Well, I'm obviously a warlock, and she's a hunter or a huntress.
Huntress, smart man. I respect that. And of course, this man needs no introduction. One of the best avatars, like your avatar Slow is amazing. This man has tremendous looter shooter knowledge. Division King, you know what I'm saying? I call you one half of Tomax and Zaymot, my brother Gaming Forte in the chat. Salute. Game and looter shooter brothers right there. We getting you on, Forte, don't worry about it. But Slow-Mo, man, thanks for coming on by the campfire. How you doing, man?
Hey man, I'm doing great, man. It's a nice Friday morning. I'm still a little exhausted from all my division time. It's been a great ride, like the past week and a half, actually. I think, I started. I had the early access, so ever since then, my hours of sleep has been a lot less than what I'm used to. I'm going to bed at like 2 in the morning, like, man, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I did it again. But hey, look, when there's a game that comes out and it's your kind of game, and they really hit all the notes for you. Everyone goes through that period where you just, you know what, sleep and wait. It can wait for this.
Absolutely, bro. You're having so much fun, and I think what you said is key too, because it's almost like, yo, let me just do one more thing, then I can get this done. It turns into like 2-3 hours later.
right. And also with me, when I've been doing this, so like they normally, with the division and Massive Entertainment, they give you a maximum of 4 different tunes to use, 4 different agents that you can make. I've already made all 4 agents.
Oh my!
Yeah,
it's slow.
I'm at gear score 421 on my main. I'm at for my secondary, I'm at level 12, and I'm just at level 3 for the last 2. And I basically made all of these so that like I play on my main for the most part. But when I got like my peoples who want to get on and are like, they want some help, they want some guidance, I jump on some of the secondary ones to kind of help them out with those, so that like we're at the same level. Although some of the patch notes that are coming out, I won't have to do too much of that soon. Once I get on like later on this evening. They did a patch this morning that I could talk about a little bit later, about some of the things that they fixed and some of the bugs that they had that they seem to be getting ironed out before they start dropping their big content. But how are you guys liking the game?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been playing a lot. I mean, for me, it's been, it's been tough on me because I know we're going to get into Destiny as well. Because Destiny, I feel like, is in a good narrative space right now. So it's tough because I want to really fully commit to Division because I'm having so much fun with it and playing. But then it's like I go back, so I'm just in this tug of war, this push pull. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really getting anything done on both sides. but I'm just, you know what I'm saying, in the mix kind of deal. So I'm probably, like I said, I told you before, we, pre-chat probably like level 18 or so, but really having fun with, mission structure and stuff. I know, did you pick it up at all, or what's going on with you as far as
I actually haven't got it yet, so that was kind of my issue. Is like, believe me, I'm going to. It's just been like Sekiro's coming. It's like I know I'm gonna go basically like mainline that one. So just and with Destiny, I was out of town for last weekend, which really kind of killed. I was like, okay, do my Tuesday, work a couple days, and usually kind of start getting to my gaming on like Thursday night, Friday morning. I was gone from Thursday to Sunday, came back, worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's like I'm kind of like I was like I will buy it, but for me, it's like I've just been kind of reading and watching things from afar because I knew I was going to get Sekiro. I'll burn through that, and then I'll jump into Division when let them iron out a few kinks. But it sounds like it's definitely got a boatload of stuff for me to do. It's like from what I've been reading, at least from what I've gathered from slightly farther back view than deep into it is. You're not going to run out of stuff to do for a while.
Yeah. They
like it's kind of crazy.
They've definitely thought the game out from in game, from starting from in game on, and like the in game is like the foundation, and then from there they've created everything else and all the additional content. And it's so much going on right now, and it always seemed like I get on and I'm like, okay, how am I going to tackle this today? What am I going to get into today? And I always end up like take yesterday, for instance. I left work a little early. I was coming out now. I was feeling under the weather.
Oh no, that's so bad that you're feeling sick.
You're right. See, I get home and make sure the kids was good, and then next thing I know, I'm on the game, and I'm doing stuff in my world tier. I'm at shout out to Meta actually too. Meta hit me a couple days ago, and he's like, "Hey, Slomo, I can get you up to gear score 450 real quick," and I'm like, "Really? Sound like a scam here. Are you serious?" He's like, yeah, I got you. I said, okay, all right. So I jump in with him, and I just finished the game, and I got into end game, and I'm in World Tier 1. And I was at like gear score level 230. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, like me and my boy, we can get you up to 450 real quick. You just join us in our world tier, hang back because you can't kill nobody, and then we'll drop some loot for you. I said, okay, all right, we'll see what happens. So it wasn't that easy. They were dying left and right, and I had to help out just a little bit. But after a couple of hours, I was at like 415. I said, okay, all right. So I'm thinking like, I'm in World Tier 4. I feel kind of cheated. I feel like I kind of cheated the system. It didn't really sit well with my soul.
Yeah. Shout out to Staldo in the chat. Like he actually told me the same thing. Like there's kind of like a power level. Look, we gonna get into it. We got a lot of questions to get. We gonna get into it. What I was gonna say is, Josh, how much have you played of Division?
So I've put in about 3 to 4 hours into the game, and I didn't play the Division 1. So coming into it, I was kind of interesting to see what the onboarding process was, like to pull and kind of get me up to speed with all the systems and mechanics. And it's like non-existent. I have no idea even where to find my gear score. I got new knee pads, and like those seem to be doing cool things for me. But the game fundamentally is really fun to play. I like the third-person shooter. Work on it, and I'm a big third-person fan. Like Dark Souls, like those kinds of third-person action adventure games are kind of where I live, with the exception of Destiny. And so playing the Division feels kind of like it feels comfortable, and I like the cover-based shooter mechanics. It isn't quite as snappy as Gears is. It doesn't have that kind of oomph and weight to it, but the shooting all feels really, really good in your hand. The thing that I am curious to see as I continue on in the Division is the reason why I like games like Destiny and the Souls games and Mass Effect is because of the world that's built and kind of the mysteries that exist within it. And so I'm curious to see how deep into weird government conspiracy theories and like national treasure style, like heist stuff that the Division goes. Like that's what I'm hoping to find in the Division beyond just solid gunplay.
Yeah, oh man, you're in for a treat then. There's a lot of little stuff that you'll just find just exploring. Like sometimes you just get you planned on, you set your waypoint marker for a mission, and you can't fast travel to it, so you gotta take that path where let me go block from block and see if I can survive on my way there. And then next thing you know, you end up just in some building looking at echoes from and recordings from things that happened before the outbreak, or sometimes there are actually echoes out there explaining to you things that are happening in New York where the first game took place, and the aftermath of your actions there. And it's just like, oh, I didn't know this was here. Next thing I know, it's like an hour has passed and I haven't got to that mission yet, and I'm just like, oh, let me get back to what I was doing.
I'll tell you, man. I mean, it's been pretty much the same. I mean, I've been having so much fun with basic mission structure. And like some of the missions, I will say they were much longer than I thought. Like, what I like. A lot of them are just like they're kind of like multifaceted, they're multi-part. And I really like that aspect. And then like kind of like what you said, Slow, another thing I'll notice is like going from mission or an objective to an objective, I'll get caught up just messing around with the real world interaction. Like you'll see, some of the settlement guys kind of tell you they're making patrols. It just gives you that illusion of like living world, like people are doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I like that aspect a lot. I will say I'm not sold necessarily on the narrative just yet. Again,
that's one thing I wanted to ask you guys about. Sorry to jump in, but like being, from that little farther back perspective, it's like everybody's like, hey, the gear's crazy depth. You start with the sets, and I played both demos. I was like, I got a pretty good feel for it, but I was like, the one thing that I've seen is like, it's not really like there's not much of a story. I mean, you get the idea you're taking over the cities, but like really, it's is it the 3 people talking in the dark room or 2, and you're silent protagonist again, which is That's one thing. I was like, just Anthem talking was nice, but I was like, how are you guys feeling on the story? Do you even care? You just like, I mean, the gameplay's one is like, or is it just like, story is kind of okay, but I'm just enjoying the gameplay. I'm kind of curious, you guys' thoughts on that one, because it's one I've read like multiple different places. Like gameplay's awesome, customization, specialization, story, meh. That's like one I see a lot.
I'll go first, then I'll give it to Slow. For me, I'm kind of in that pocket, but mind you, I'm early, right? I'm not, Slow has finished the game, he's on world tier, whatever. For me, I just get the sense like, okay, I'm a badass, get in there, do the job. I'm not really getting any like, I got a couple of echoes. I didn't really get anything narratively that captivated me. To me, it was the mission to mission gameplay. It was doing the settlements. It was those kind of things, and the gear and the loot and the RPG mechanics of that. But I gotta ask, Slow, now that as far as you are, and obviously you definitely the Black Tusk must be invading that whole section is going on. And I will say this, like I did like seeing like the bosses and the hunters and stuff like that. But from a narrative standpoint, like what can you tell us, Slow? How are you feeling about Division 2?
I do understand the criticisms about the story. It is anytime you have a silent protagonist, it's very, very difficult to really get too invested in the story. This is kind of reason why, like over history, like we gone from say like Chrono Trigger, where Chrono doesn't say a single word, but it's a great story. Yeah, one of my favorite games as well.
Oh, you two are best friends right now. You don't realize how much respect you got.
Overrated.
Oh, stop it.
Oh no. All right.
Okay, we want to go off the rails for a second. That was one of the best.
I was like, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have some words.
but just saying, like you would have like a silent protagonist a lot of times, and back in those days to now, where you got like you got your Master Chiefs, you have your Commander Shepherds, you have your voice protagonists, you have your Kratos, and it allows the developers to be able to drive the narrative more and form out a personality for the characters, and allow people to get invested in that. When you have a silent protagonist now, it's almost kind of a letdown. I totally get that. I totally understand it. I think this game is very lore driven and not narrative driven. Like if you want to understand the lore and what's happening, and what happened to DC to get it to the point where it is now, there's a rich amount of information for you to find to be able to get that. And so you can people see like recordings from a guy like say, and they haven't played the first game, but they hear from a guy named this guy, who's this Keener guy, who's this guy leaving like really cryptic information and really crazy sociopathic messages to me, and they, like it's like a lot of additional information that you can find actually in the game and not like outside the game. They can be able to answer that information for you, but. As far as it goes with narrative, I mean, it's pretty much is the city has gone to hell. There are gangs everywhere. You have a gun. It's time to do something about it. I guess the guy gotta shoot people, you know. And but like, yeah, gameplay is top notch. It's they've really improved everything that that they built the foundation for in the first game, and then all the issues that people had with it. Oh, this a little too bullet spongy, or you know, here and there. They've gone and just addressed everything. Yeah. You guys want raids? We're gonna get you raids. You guys want, you know, all that quality of life stuff that we added as the updates went on from the first game. We're gonna have all that there for you day one in the second game and just build upon it. So I think that's why like it's gotten a lot of really good reviews and a lot of good feedback. It's because it's what people wanted, and they kind of got what they wanted. And even to go back to what I was saying about, I said initially I felt cheated, kind of getting that power level when I got to end game. When I got back to my world, after leaving Meta's world, they made sure that you still have to grind out that work. So like I'm still stuck. I was at that time still stuck in World Tier 1. I actually had to complete the missions, complete the strongholds, do all that stuff. You can't just take the power level and say, hey, I'm in World Tier 4 now.
Doesn't work like that.
Don't work like that at all. So I did some of that yesterday, as I was also helping other people get their characters up and show them how to play the game a little bit. Some tips and tricks like don't throw your turret on the ground.
Yeah, so, I learned that lesson.
Yeah. So someone's going to come and stomp on it. You're going to be really upset. You know, little things like that. But then like I'm also kind of grinding myself up. Now I'm at World Tier 3. And I'm not really like the builds. I haven't really decided. I have 2 builds in mind that I want to do with my main agent, but I haven't gone to the point of grinding those out yet, because as you keep getting your gear score up, you're gonna keep replacing gear. For right now, I'm just like, it's not worth it for me to go ahead and start grinding stuff that I'm going to end up replacing anyway. So I'm just like, I'm gonna wait till I get the World Tier 4, then I'm gonna put that work in. So.
No doubt. Now I respect it, man. Josh, let me ask Josh a question in reference to just your experience as far as like skill sets. And I know you said kind of early, you just got a couple of knee pads running around, stuff like that. But did you get a chance to mess with any specific skill?
So I have the drone unlocked, and I like that quite a bit. I think that the cooldown timers are a little bit long in terms of the special moves, but
I would agree.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that kind of felt that way. I thought I was just being selfish. I'm like, give me more drone warfare.
Yes.
It's the most American position you can possibly take. But the thing that I like the most is I've kind of spent about an hour just wandering around the streets of DC. I've been to Washington, DC a few times, and it's really neat seeing the different parts of the city. I was in DC last for the 4th of July, actually 3 years ago. And it was cool to kind of walk around and see basically like parts of the city that I had walked around and have pictures from. And actually, I kind of want to do experiments where I walk around and take the same pictures with my character in the game at the same locations. But in terms of just like the powers and abilities, I feel like I'm too early to really give a kind of a quantitative assessment of it, beyond the fact that I just think that the cooldown timers are too long. But I think that they work really, really well. I think everything mechanically about the game is so tight that I have a hard time criticizing any particular point. I feel like my bigger problems are going to come more with like the gear and like the overall ability to make your character look unique in the world, which I think that's kind of I'm going to struggle to find incentive to grind out for high level legendary loot in terms of making my character look awesome.
I have a point about that. And it's, sorry, Courtney, I didn't want to interrupt you. They have like these loot boxes from supply crates that didn't quite make it to the ground. They're like stuck in trees all over the world. You can find those. You shoot them open, and they drop out dye that allow you to just dye your gear whatever color that came out. I have like probably about 3 now. I have a blue one, like a crimson color, and a gold one. And I've been just dyeing my gear. Every time I put on something new, I make sure I put the dye in there to make it like so. Like I've been walking around looking fresh. You know, everyone else looking at me with the Mickey Mouse gear, like, what is he doing? How did he do that? You know, so it's I think they added a couple of things here and there to kind of give people that feeling of I want to look unique and different. And the first game,
I will agree with Josh. I don't feel there's a lot of options though, like as a comparison, obviously, to a Destiny and stuff. I feel they got some stuff like behind the store. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw the Kango and I saw the police outfits and I saw the, certain things. But I don't know. I feel like it's there, but I don't know. I don't get the feeling like I'm incentivized to do a lot of it, or like as far as like, I mean, I'll get stuff here and there. But it do feel like it's trying to push me towards that loot box part. Like,
yeah. I will always recommend people don't buy that stuff. Don't buy it because like everything that's in there that can be purchased can also be unlocked through a loot crate or something, and you get little points towards just by playing the game. You get points towards being able to put those points in, get a crate, and get some of those cosmetics unlocked.
Yeah.
And something that's really cool is they implemented an algorithm to make sure that you don't get the same loot twice. So wherever you get,
hallelujah,
it's not going to be any repeats of anything. It's always something that you already didn't have. So which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up on my side with this whole the impressions thing. It's just that look, I'm really enjoying it. I love the difficulty of the missions. You know what I'm saying? Well, and what's up, Neo Mental? What's going on? Very happy Friday,
Neo.
Yeah, that's another one of our agents in there. Yeah, like I just love like I said, playing the missions. The difficulty aspect really impressed me. There were a couple of really tough missions, but we had to work together. Nothing is seamless. They've been, I have to admit. There's been some glitches with skills. A lot of times I've tried to, get my turret out and, it's in my hand, but it's not placing on, the thing wherever I want to place it. But shout out to Massive. They've been pretty responsive with the patching, I feel, and updating the community. And I know Snaldo's in the chat. He's got an update right now on lordsofgaming.net in reference to the latest updates. But they got to get the skill stuff fixed. There's a couple little bugs here and there. But for the most part, I felt it was smooth. I think right now, my favorite right now skill is probably the hive, where you throw that little thing down and it attacks a group of people like killer bees.
Yeah, it looks really cool effect.
Oh, it's so much fun. And then like the sniper turret is really cool because it really helps me take down like the yellow bars, the armored guys, and you have to manually aim it as well as counter snipe. And like I'll basically hold a position with that. I think the healing skills are very underrated. I was playing with Brapslow, and he was running one of those, I think, healing hive things, and it's really helpful. I love the aggressiveness of the AI, whether they try to flank you, rush you, what I'm saying? They are trying to get you out of that spot, like grenade launchers, whatever they can. It's just, I love the fact that it's tough. It's not a walkthrough. And at the same time, I have played solo and I have done the aspect where, if you're about to take a control point, you know what? You shoot that flare up and you get them settlement help to come in there because take it all by yourself is a bit tough.
So now we're talking like my world. That's what I was going to ask. How much have you guys actually played solo? How's that feel? I know when I played in the demos, you said the little help that you get from the actual people is solid. Like it's actually, they're beneficial to call in for sure. So I was just kind of curious your guys' thoughts on how much time you spent solo and how it feels if you're just like, hey, I don't have anybody to play with. How's that going to be for an interaction?
I actually think playing solo is way more interesting than playing with a group. So I maybe split my time between playing solo and playing with just randoms, doing some of the, I guess, kind of world events. And I felt like when I was playing with a group, we just kind of could rush everyone, and we were spread out far enough in any given mission that we could take out the enemy without experiencing some of the more advanced tactics that they use. But when I'm playing by myself, yeah, they're flushing me out with grenades. I can't stay still. I have to remain mobile the entire time. I have to be really judicious about how I'm using my special abilities. And I really feel like I saw the AI come alive when I was playing solo. But when I was playing with a group, like, I don't know, I felt like we were kind of just an engine of destruction. And maybe we weren't playing some of the more advanced things, but we just kind of always had forward momentum. And the enemy AI didn't really seem that suited to stopping us.
What makes
like we're too good?
Yeah, he sounds like he's too good, right?
I mean,
and modest. Once again, modesty is strong in this podcast.
Josh, clearly the most humble member of Lord's Gaming. No doubt, man. The last question.
I've you just want to talk about solo play? I've played probably, and for my main character, I probably did the max 30 levels. I probably did 25 of them solo. And I really enjoy tackling a lot of those things solo, and because almost like when you're with a group, you kind of miss things. You're talking and discussing things with people. People are calling stuff out. Hey, they're flanking on the left. Blah 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 blah. You kind of miss little things like when I'm healing in cover, the enemies will be like, he's healing, get him, and then they'll press their attack when they know I'm healing. I throw out a turret.
Yeah, I like when they say that. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep, continue.
You know, and when I pull up my drone or something, and the drone starts attacking, and they'll be like, that effing drone, and they'll get upset about certain things that are going on. You can see them. You can see them when he gets down to just one guy left, he starts panicking.
Yes.
He's like slipping and falling, trying to get away from you.
Grenade out of their hand. I love that. That little yeah, continue.
It's great, man. Like I've always enjoyed playing this game solo. Like I played the first game solo, for the most part, and I played with a group as well. But in the first game, they had 13 different gear sets, and I kind of expect them to probably have that many gear sets eventually with this game over time. But at least 3 or 4 of them over the time period of the first game were solo builds. They were designed for solo play, like Nomad.
Funny you said that. I want to stop you right there for a second. Because one point of contention with the cheetah and myself.
I was like, all right, I'm here.
There it goes. You know, I got to instigate. One point of contention, obviously, Ebontis, this is I call him he's the Nightfall soloist. This is the guy that plays solo, that will grind these games out by himself. And I know a lot of his frustration, and he likes the mode, but it's the Dark Zone, right? And we know about the Dark Zone this year, about the rotating, occupied Dark Zone and whatever. But, his experience in there wasn't necessarily the greatest. So I'm going to give it to E. E, you tell Slow what you've been going through with that aspect. And I want to know if there's anything he can do maybe to help alleviate that, or it's just, it is what it is. So E, tell him about your experiences in the Dark Zone.
I was like, it's been the same in D1 and D2, and it was like my short time during the beta was kind of the same way. It's like, so take somebody like me, didn't jump in first day, going to be a little behind the curveball, and I don't know if the Dark Zone on this one has like, I know the Occupied is just like no holds bar, whatever you got, and then the others are supposed to be normalized. But take a solo person in the Dark Zone, hey, I want to go in there, see if I can find some PvE guys, and then just a group of 3 walk through and be like, melt you. And you're just done. And it's just, and I mean, that's going to happen. I understand that point, but as that's like one of the larger, like, hey, this is kind of your way to like mix it up, go see something different, or go check out these other Dark Zones. They're not as big this time. It's not like people are going to be like, hey, it's like, I want to hang around like level 1 and level 2 in the, like for D1, it was the big, long, giant Dark Zone. Bottom was like lower tier. Stronger people might go, hang out in a group in the upper section. Yeah, if you go up there, yeah, you might run into some people working it. But the trolls in there are ones for me. It's like, I understand there are solo builds in there, and I've seen people work some people over, just be like, oh, but no. But it's like, as an average solo person versus the trolls, it was still one of the most frustrating parts for me, because that was in D1. I know that was where most of the focus was, and I kind of stopped before they started the tiers and they started survival and they started other things. I fell off of D1 after some of that, but it was like that initial, and then like my first time in the beta to go into the dark zone is like, oh cool, I found one enemy melted by a 3-stack, just walking around manhunting people, and they were on a full 5-stack, and I was like, son of a, it's back. And it was just like, and that feeling for me, I was like, God, it's back. And it was just like, so that's my piece on that one of like, I know there's world tiers, which I actually really love. They added that later on in D1. They've got this in D2, so you can just walk around, and most of that's PvE. And I like how there's a lot more options. And then some people, if they want to go full PvP, they can go into the actual, PvP modes themselves specifically. But as Dark Zone is one of those things that may not be as big of a focus now. I don't know, but it's just one of those that most of the time, that's one of the things that burned me out. It's like, hey, I kind of got some and drops. And some of the drops you get to keep, and I'm guessing still the good ones you have to get out of there, I guess, with the helicopter. Yeah, extract. That's what I was looking for. So it's like, I know the better ones are still going to take that extraction. If you got a manhunt team, it's harder to run from the manhunt team, at least because they're smaller, and people are like, oh, I can probably get there in 2.5 minutes or however long it takes to extract. Like, it's going to take some time, and they're like, oh, let's go mess with them. And there's not much a solo player can do. So kind of curious you guys' thoughts on all that.
Okay. Well, I'll say first, they definitely addressed your concerns. There are a lot of people from the first game that felt that way. They felt like the Dark Zone was really unfair. They didn't like the fact that in the first game you had to go into the Dark Zone to get the best loot. And they addressed that in the first game around update 1.4, which came out maybe like 9 months after launch. But a lot of people had already checked out by then, so completely understandable that a lot of people didn't know that. But in this game, what they've done to address that is with the, as you know, the normalized dark zone. So there's 3 dark zones now in Division 2. One's occupied, 2 are normalized. The normalized is like everyone's stats are normalized, but the talents and perks, some of the talents on your weapons aren't. The damage level is normalized, but the talents of your weapons and gear can still give you an advantage. So it's really about like your build, like how you build your character, and before you go in can determine a lot. And that may seem, if like as you said, as an average player, that might feel like I'm at a disadvantage from people who play longer. But I mean, just based off of something I'll say that a Division YouTuber, Marco Styles, found. Marco came up with a one-shot sniper build, and he said it didn't take him no more than a couple of hours to put it together. He got 3 of a particular brand, of 3 of his 6 gear slots of one brand, and then a Model 700. Not even a good Model 700, a piece of trash Model 700 with bad rolls, and he's in there one-shot sniping guys. Just based off of having a couple of talents on his three brands that worked really well together. And so you can come up with a build that can be able to, bring down those manhunt parties. And I think also something to note is that in this game, even though the map looks smaller than the first game, the scale 1-to-1 to what DC really looks like, and the size of DC compared to New York is a lot better. So it's like the map is actually bigger than the New York map from the first game, and the dark zones are bigger than they appear. So as you're like, sometimes you look at, you go in there like that dark zone is not that big, but then you start an extraction and you think that you may be able to get out there and stop a guy and cut his rope and take his gear, and you may not be able to make it in time. So I would say give it a shot. Me personally, I have not played 1 second of Dark Zone or PvP since the game started. I've been so engrossed, all the hours I've been playing this game, so engrossed in all the PvE aspects. But I did play a lot of it in the beta, and man, I had a great time. I went rogue a couple times just, to really
see that mechanic.
Have a little fun. But there, I could give you one example of something that I think this, and this is as a solo player. I was in the dark zone.
What's the skill? Tell me what skills you're running in it as a solo player. For a guy like Iban, what do you feel is effective? Would you have like a healing hive? Like, give me a skill build.
I wouldn't use the hive healer. If you're a solo player, I would use the Chem Launcher Reinforcer mod, What that does is that it just drops like a pellet, and then it like explodes into a little green cloud and heals your armor right there on the spot. It has probably the shortest cooldown out of any of the skills out there. So I use that when I'm playing solo, and I'll use the Hive Healer when I'm with a group, because the Hive Healer has a bigger area range. It's kind of like the support station for the first game, and it can heal a bigger group of people. You can also point the chem launcher at other players, and it'll shoot them, and that will heal them. But for the most part, it's really good to just hit that bumper or whatever button you have it on your mouse and keyboard, and get that heal really quickly. That's better to use solo in the dark zone and PvP to kind of get yourself a little bit of a boost as you keep fighting. The good thing with it is that the tanky guys who can't be shot down because they're just they got so much armor, all that kind of stuff, that all that has been left behind the first game. They've set it up so the time of kill is a lot lower, and that people can't expect their build to be unstoppable. Which is why there are a lot of like big time YouTube, I would call them griefers and trolls, who have a platform on YouTube, who are now kind of complaining about the dark zone not being what it used to be, because they start going on manhunt, and then next thing you know, they get shot out of nowhere by a guy with a one-shot sniper build, and next thing you know, that manhunt's over. And so they're not really being able to dominate like the way they used to. It's a little bit more fair and a little bit more balanced, and for everyone to kind of enjoy the PvP, and not just the guys that know life the game.
Gotcha. I'm gonna get Josh in before we move on. Josh, have you done any Dark Zone ever? Any Division 1 or any?
No, I didn't play Division 1, so this is all brand new to me. And so even just getting onboarded was probably a lot easier for the rest of you guys than me. So no, I haven't touched the Dark Zone yet. I'm terrified of the Dark Zone. I will stay firmly in the light with the Vanguard.
Very shortly. Yeah, very shortly. I got you. But I mean, look, I'll wrap up. I know we definitely been talking a lot of division and stuff. Look, it's a strong first start. There's some small minor gripes here and there with growing pains and balancing. But for the most part, I agree with Slow. Just from a feature-rich standpoint, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to do. And I just like from a looter shooter standpoint, it's gonna push Destiny. You know what I'm saying? Like Destiny, Massive is proven that they've listened to enough of the complaints of the first game that hey, they're here. We're gonna address it. The main thing I think they just need to do. I'm dying to know when the raid launches. Slow. I need to know when that. I'm very curious about. I know the World Tier 5 is held back, right? But what about raid? Curious, when is that dropping? Do we have a date on that?
We don't have a date on that yet. I'm kind of suspecting it'll be sometime this summer. Okay. But we don't have a date on it yet. And they did hold back World Tier 5. They said in their State of the Game Wednesday, that they wanted to fix some of these little bugs that have been popping up. And like the skills bug you mentioned, that popped up on Friday of last week, and then they had already had a fix and update for it by Monday. So they're and a lot of some of the other little issues with like NPCs that you need to speak to being missing, they addressed that this morning. So they're trying to go through the process of fixing all the bugs first.
Gotcha.
And pushing on to the next world tier, which I suspect should be out like in probably next month.
Gotcha.
What did raids look like in Division 1 compared to like what we see in Destiny?
So raid, compared to Destiny, you have a 6-person raid. You've got, stages of levels and bosses and stuff like that. D1, they didn't exist. Division 1 basically didn't have a raid that had, quote, incursions is what they called them. And they were 4-person activities. And the first one is pretty much what turned me off of the game. It was this basically a larger interior room. There's an APC like indoors shooting rockets everywhere. It sucked, basically. You had a little hallway. You're like, hey, shoot a couple enemies. Then you get in this room and you're like, okay, so you got to like do all these waves of enemies. And then it's just they kept getting harder and harder and crazier. And I know people obviously made it easier after they got sets and things like that. But the way that thing started, it was rough. So I actually don't know how a raid is going to be in D2 with the 8 people, if they're going to have mechanics, or they're going to split you guys apart. They have potential with a lot of stuff. just because it is 8 people. I'm just going to be kind of curious to see how that all works in, actually live in action, because if they actually pay attention and listen, and it depends on who they have build the raids, but also how realistic they keep it. So that's one of those things I've seen in the videos, and I called at one point with Cognito as well. It was like, what are we going to have for like a raid boss or something? I said, hey, a big helicopter. And then sure enough, you see like those big 4-bladed like personnel carrier helicopters, but they said that was almost more of a world event that would like happen with one of those out there, not as much of a raid boss. So I'll be kind of curious what they do in the airport actually. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Claudia. I didn't want to interrupt you.
The raid is a big thing for me. I'm with E because I have to agree. Incursions left a bad taste in my mouth with Division 1. That, in my opinion, was not endgame content, and that's the thing Destiny will always, in my opinion, have over Division. However, when I did hear the devs say with Division 2, the commitment to raid, and shout out to Eric's Gaming, you know what I'm saying? He had the devs on, and he pressed them when he said, are you going to have a raid? And he's like, is it going to have, how is it? Is it going to be like Incursion? They were like, no, it's going to be mechanic based. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay. Now I'm with Ebontis also in that 8 players is a lot. Right now we're doing 4, and 4 is I feel like is a good spot. 8, that's a lot of players. So I don't know how messy that's going to get. I agree with shout out to Neil Mentor in the chat. If they do something where they split you up, maybe, and then maybe you come back together, almost think, Josh, almost like, 8-player Vault of Glass in a way. You know what I'm saying? Where Vault, they split. Yeah, if they can do that.
Yeah, if they go that far, hell yeah.
Yeah, like then I could see it working, but I am skeptical of 8 guys in a room. Like, that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how. I feel like it's a little messy. What do you think? How do you think they could pull it off? This is new territory for Massive. This is one thing Destiny does so well. They have highly respected raids. Last Wish is arguably one of the best, next to Taken King and Vaulted Glass, arguably could be called the GOAT. And even their kind of average raid, so to speak, Wrath the Machine is beloved. Crota is still beloved. So it's interesting. What do you think, Slow? What do you think they have to do to hit the nail on the head with the first Division raid?
Well, I just want to say, like, I played a lot of Destiny 1 and a good little bit of Destiny 2. I'm not as hardcore as you guys, but I think Vault of Glass, out of all the raids I've done, Vault of Glass is still their best raid, in my opinion. I've done all of the incursions. There are 4 incursions in Division 1, and the one that Ebontis mentioned was by far the worst. That one is called Falcon's Loss, and it's basically a horde mode, 15-wave horde mode, which at the time when it first came out, if you got the wave 14 and your group wiped, you had to start all over at the beginning. It was terrible. It's by far their worst one. No one willingly does that particular activity unless there's like a reason to do it. You want to get an achievement or a trophy in PlayStation or something. That's the only reason why you do it.
They said we don't talk about Falcons Lost in here.
yeah. Falcons Lost is bad. It's terrible. It's probably the worst thing they ever did. But they got better for each incursion. The next incursion which was a lot shorter. It was kind of a gear check. You had to have the right level of gear to be able and great, really, really good spec gear in order to be able to complete it. But it could be once it got to a point where people were completing Clear Sky in like under 5 minutes, like from beginning to end. Like no lie, like that quickly, and they realized, you know what, we kind of went too far in the opposite direction, because you couldn't complete Falcons Lost in under 45 minutes, and now Clear Sky 3 minutes. This is now what we need. So and the one I think is the best, the next one, this Dragon's Nest is awesome. Dragon's Nest has a lot of those, like the mechanics that you kind of looking for. There's teamwork needed. You had to have kind of certain strategies to take down certain areas. They had like 4 bosses. They call them the 4 horsemen that pop up right in the middle of it. That could be a complete gear check on your group, whether you can even make it on. And I really enjoyed that one the best. But the last one, Stolen Signal, is a lot like a Destiny raid. There's a lot of different sections to it. There's a lot of different. It's a whole bunch of teamwork and a whole bunch of different. Like it'll be one section where everyone has to pull out, or at least two people have to pull out a ballistic shield, and to be able to complete that section and be able to defend other players as you complete the objectives. It's really good. I didn't really enjoy it as much as Dragon's Nest, but it's the way they did Stolen Signal makes me believe they have a great idea of how to do an 8-player raid. I'm not going to say guarantee it's going to be like, the bee's knees, the best thing ever, but I do know for a fact they understand how they're going to need to split this group up, kind of have people do. A couple people here have to complete a certain objective, and other people have to do other things. There has to be some kind of cooperation, and it's not just guys shooting guns and killing waves and waves of enemies.
That'll piss me off, and I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Oh man, thanks for that, Slow man. Yeah, man. Yeah, we see what the future holds, but yeah, man, it's been really good so far, and we can't wait for World Tier 5 to drop. So, E. We got this other game we got to talk about.
What other game?
There's a lot going on right now at another game, and people are feeling maybe Bungie stubborn. But we gonna get into it, man.
I was like, yeah, we got some opinions on the TWAB this week, but for you guys as well who have been sucked into Division, you guys have been playing any Destiny this past week or two?
Josh?
Oh yeah, I mean Destiny is. So I guess let me backtrack. My brother is currently deployed, and so I play Destiny with him because that's kind of the one way that we can kind of keep in touch with each other. So we play Destiny 2 to 3 times a week, and like I said, I got my wife into it, so she is super pumped up and is always down to play. So yeah, we play 2 to 3 nights a week, probably somewhere between 5 and 15 hours every week, depending on time. So yeah, I've been really working the grind on the Season of the Drifter stuff, and I have mixed feelings. We're
gonna get to it. Let's do this. Let's hit the TWAB, right, E? I'll let you watch that, and then we'll get into feelings.
Indeed. So we were out last week, so I'm going to blow through last week's real quick just to get a quick recap. Obviously, Thorn's out there. I don't know if you guys have gotten the gun yet. Anybody got it?
Not yet.
I haven't gotten it, but I found the quest naturally. I didn't actually know where it was by reading online. Wow. I found it over the course of doing the Allegiance quest for the Drifter.
Because I know there's one of those. Yeah, makes sense. I can see how you did that.
Which was awesome. Like seeing the Massacre of the Shadows by Shin Malphur was a pretty great experience. So I'm like two little bits of content away from finishing the first quest step. So no, but I'm psyched for it. I wish there were more exotics than just hand cannons. I feel like it's all been hand cannons recently.
Yeah, it's ridiculous amount of hand cannons. I know Bungie must love them more. They just have more lore or something, but yeah, there's other guns out there, guys.
Yeah, like I got the last word. I don't need another hand cannon ever. Like we're done.
Woo! Talk that talk.
What about you, Slomo?
I have not had the chance to get back on. This is going to sound terrible. This is what I did. I bought the season pass when the information came out about Gambit Prime. I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. I'm in on that, right? Mm-hmm. So I get the season pass, and then I said, you know what? I'm going to do when the Division comes out. I'm going to do both of these at the same time. And yeah, see the both part hasn't happened yet, so I don't have anything. But shout out to Gaming Forte, who has basically been no life in Destiny before really getting into the Division, and the Ash and Luca, they've been really kind of keeping me up on everything. And I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. and they're going to be helping me out once I can get my gaming life balance back. So no, I don't have anything at the moment right now. I am definitely pretty far back when it comes to getting the best weapons, and yeah, I don't have it yet. Sorry.
You don't want to live this life that I'm in, man. This the path that I've taken. It's a tough path, man.
We are so lucky that Anthem was bad.
Yes, good job.
We're so lucky.
I was just about to say that, because if Anthem was great, man, we'd all be in a bad place right now. Like, look, I feel bad because I love Warframe. And I have it, and Warframe is dropping good content right now. And I'm just like, oh, that sounds so good. I'm not gonna play it yet. And it's just like, man, I feel like I'm missing out. But then it's like, I don't want to stop playing Division. So it's man, like Anthem dropping the ball. Thanks, I guess.
It was time to breathe, man.
It's a blessing in disguise for some.
Yep.
What we got, E?
But yeah, it's like, so there's one part of it I'm waiting for basically, and it's the final strike that you've got to run. And the modifiers on that one are brutal. So take a Singe, make it all 3, and make it only work against you.
Really?
Yep. And then there's also Iron, so the guys are harder to kill, and then Blackout, so melee's hurt and you have no radar. It's all 3 of those working against you on the Savathun song.
Wow.
And you've got a couple giant knights to kill in the end and a couple extra shriekers, and everything just hurts. So I tried it about 658 and I got to about a midpoint, but I was just like, I'm going to wait because I do want to solo it. I was like, it's one of those things, just like that stupid, challenge I'm going to put against myself, but it's going to be real rough to do that. So I wouldn't advise that on anybody. Go find a group, work together, be high level. Don't make it harder on yourself than you need to be, because it is going to be rough, I think.
You're your own worst enemy.
I know. I'm the crazy. That was me, like in Division or Destiny 1, when I was just like, oh, let's do what was the Fallen Saber Strike solo, and be like, oh, this is a terrible idea, but now I'm this far and I have to do it. So it's stuff like that. But I got to shout out the shirt that I definitely have to get. So I've got to get the gun to get the shirt, because I love that shirt. It looks really, really cool. So for Thorn, you can get your replica. And then is anybody going to get one of these little jerseys for your Gambit Prime sets when you complete it?
Man, that looks pretty hot. I like that.
Yeah, I think it looks fire.
I go for the esports. That's kind of lit. I'm gonna have to go that yellow because I'm a sentry by nature. That's my thing. I'm a sentry. I might go with that yellow right there. That's looking nice.
Oh man, gotta live that invader life.
That's where I'm gonna end up, because I'll be playing with my brother, and they'll be going along, and I end up getting the heavy ammo, and I'm like, okay, nobody else is gonna go invade, or you guys suck at invading. Let me do it.
That's kind of how our fire team.
Yeah, that's not even how my typical role, but I'm like, I guess I'm gonna go try.
So the way that our fire team ends up is that my brother just like wants to mow stuff down. So he'll end up just kind of guarding, kind of lingering over near where you deposit the moats. But my wife, she is a savage when it comes to the moats. If you take her moats, she will never forgive you.
She's a collector?
Oh yeah, she wants them all. She wants every moat she can get her hands on.
So get her that collector set so she can drop that big boy.
She gets livid when people are taking her moats. So she will rage.
I rage. It's night. Like, especially if you get the killing and you see all the glory on the ground, and then you just see somebody run past you and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for real.
Yeah, she will blacklist you forever. And then I love the invading part. So we actually kind of settled into the roles pretty nicely, kind of automatically. So it kind of just worked out in a convenient way. Nice.
What else we got, E?
So yeah, those are definitely a cool thing, but to get them, you have to get your full Notorious set and then win a match. And my brother's like, oh, well, my boys want some. It's like, I'm going to want one. So I don't know if we're going to be getting 2 each, but yeah, I'm going to be playing some Gambit Prime, it seems like. So I've got my work cut out for me. And then, so the Allegiance quest started last week. I know some of you guys may have jumped in, picked a side. We'll kind of cover the next piece of how the distinction went, but what do you guys think about the rewards of each? So we've got the Vanguard weekly package that you get by pledging Vanguard, 1 powerful piece of gear, boon of the Vanguard, 10 Vanguard tokens, but you get an enhancement core. And then Drifter weekly package, you get a synth of each, powerful gear, and 100 infamy. Like, how do you guys feel like the weight of those 2 weekly packages are, and which one do you think is like, while one's probably decent lore and more interesting, what do you guys think about the weight of the packages?
Yeah, any side that don't have an enhancement core, I got a problem with.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at with it, because we know we're gonna get into cores with this as soon as we update to this 12. And yeah, like, listen, powerful gaming gear is cool. You can't separate enhancement core to one side. They knew people was gonna go with the drifter. That's what that tells me. They knew that the drifter side was very attractive, so they tried to throw some sexy on the Vanguard side and try to give out a core because they know everybody needs cores. But that's just my feeling. I don't know what you guys feel.
I mean, I could care less. Like, I'm in that Allegiance quest purely for the story aspects of it. I still have like 200 enhancement cores from like year 1 of Destiny, so it's not like a huge carrot on the stick for me. It definitely is for my brother and wife, though, because they both picked it up with Forsaken. So they're kind of suffering under the enhancement cores. But I mean, for me, the Season of the Drifter is entirely a lore thing, not a gear thing at this point.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, man, that's what it's been for me. What about you, E?
I mean, for me, I'm with you. It's just like we'll get to the enhancement core discussion in a little bit, and I'll save my thoughts. But it's just like, as that's one of those things everybody's going to use. That's kind of like, that's a huge deal versus function of collector, since you just get by playing matches and already have too many of them anyway. And they actually had to make, kind of blow ahead a little extra, but they literally made to where, you can trade in 5 synths just for 100 glimmer because you have too many of them. Like, so why is synths worth anything when you turn around and get like powerful gear and you get 100 infamy, which is like 1 bounty for a week, versus an enhancement core? I know it's 1, but your value of 1 enhancement core is definitely better personally than anything else on the drifter side. So it definitely seems skewed for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we obviously tier 3 came out last week. We had the people going up against Oryx. Spoiler alert, but tier 3 is there. What did you guys think, though? Do you guys have any opinions of the fact that they're actually locking you out, even if you're 679, that you can't get in there?
Josh, what you feel? I know Slow hasn't picked it before. What do you feel about that?
I would feel better about it if the level requirement was lower, or the recommended light for it was higher. So basically, like, making it into an exclusive endgame activity. So if you say the recommended light is 700, but we'll let you in at 680, I feel like, I don't know. Like, on the one hand, I look at it and say, okay, you're never going to get match made in with some blueberry that is just like, oh, what's the reckoning?
I mean, that's a good thing for sure.
Right. But on the flip side, it doesn't let us as a community decide what challenge is right for us. And like, for people like Ebontis, who, has got to be just the badass of all badasses. Like,
hey, calm down.
No, so I don't know. I'm kind of a split mind. Generally speaking, I mean, I'm not 680 yet. I'm early 670s. And so I haven't had a chance to go into Reckoning Tier 3 yet. Do I want to? Absolutely. Like, I've heard that there's some kind of interesting war stuff going on in there, but like, it gives me something to grind towards, and besides just like hitting that 700 cap. So in that respect, I'm fine with it, because there is no raid for me to grind up towards.
Yeah.
So by putting this kind of min power requirement, it means it is the carrot at the moment. In a season that otherwise doesn't seem to have a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too far into this, because a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to bleed into cores, and I really want to save my core thoughts for updated 12. So I'm going to pass on my feedback on this, only for the simple fact it literally is going to be all about cores. You're going to hear me rave. So,
all right, so we'll go ahead and move on to
let's move on.
Invitations the 9. First one, really cool.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys got to see it, but heads up, any of you guys, if you did miss it, you will not miss out. As long as you eventually do, however many there are going to be, you will just see yours in whatever weeks you play them. So even if you start 3 weeks in, you'll start on number 1 and you'll get to see them all in order. So no worries about missing them. If you haven't seen the first one, definitely go get this stuff started. But I will say, don't set your expectations that the first one is going to be that level every time, because they kind of cover that in the next one.
I like that.
Then go read my article on lordsofgaming.net.
Exactly.
actually think I like that because I know, me personally, Destiny not being my main loot shooter, this at least allows me to say, not feel like I'm missing. Oh crap, I'm going to miss this because I'm playing something else. I can jump in at my own pace and be able to, get all this stuff completed and start from the very beginning. So I like that. That's a great idea to me.
Facts. And what I like about it is also too is that being that you're playing Division right now, right? So let's just say you didn't even touch, much of Drifter at all. The cool part is, now they can onboard you with some power surge bounties. Now, the minute you jump in, for the most part, I believe if you're at the appropriate level, you can get up to, what is it, about 640? You know what I'm saying?
Or the power boost? Yeah, it's 640 in about an hour.
And that's something they never did before. And I like that catch-up mechanic because, again, the thing with these looter shooter games, unfortunately, if you miss some time and you're behind your friends, it's disheartening sometimes.
Yeah, you're basically shooting bubbles at people.
Exactly.
But now you come back.
Pew, pew, pew. Yeah.
I did do the power booster. I think I'm up to 650 something. I got up to 640 and I did a little bit more with some peeps that I play with, and I'm about like around 650 right now on my warlock. But yeah, definitely not anywhere near like you guys right now. But I do like the fact that they're like, hey, look, we know that you may have taken some time out. Here is a quick way to get back up to speed, and so that you don't feel like, because it gets kind of demoralizing. And I've seen this, and it doesn't matter if it's Destiny or Warframe or the Division or just whatever game you're playing. You come back to a game and they've added all this new stuff, and you're just like, "What is this?" and then it's like, "Oh, what? That's the power level now?" I'm nowhere near that, and people, it gets almost like to a feeling of people just like, you know what?
Yep,
I'm just not going to do it. Like with Division, when they introduced gear sets in Division 1, people came back and was like, what's this green crap everywhere? What is this? like I don't understand what this. You know what? I'm done. I'm just gonna go back to Destiny. So it's like, it's good to kind of find some ways to ease people back in so they can kind of just get caught up with everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. You're saying
yeah. So I mean, for me, the only thing about those power boost bounties is the fact that they're only in the annual pass. I kind of hate that that's that way.
Yeah,
I understand like there's more incentive for having the higher level if you're going to go play stuff, but then you get an Iron Banner. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. But it's just like for the average person, be like, hey, I kind of even want to catch up with my buddies to go run a Nightfall with somebody as well. It's like, nope, not unless you get the annual pass. That's just one of those little twinges. I was like, that's true. Just give it to everybody. So I mean, all they're doing is the old stuff. They're going to be 640, but they don't still get to do anything new. But at least somebody's jumping and they want to play with their friends. They're not like, oh, I'm at 500. Here goes my grind. Like, let them jump in and kind of play a little closer. So
I completely. Hey guys, do have to run. I gotta get to work.
I feel you, bro. Slow. Thank you for coming through and blessing us with that Division knowledge. I lean on you, man, when I need to learn stuff.
No problem at all. I love the invitation. I'm always an avid listener to this podcast. You guys keep me up. Thank you, bro. Destiny stuff, and half of it goes over my head. The other half, I'm like, oh snap! I gotta get back on it, and I forget to. But regardless, Abantis, I really enjoy podcasting with you today, and
absolutely, man. Glad to have you on.
I'm good to see you again, and Incognito as well. As you know, bro, it's always a joy when you're around.
Thank you, bro. Much appreciated, man. And we're gonna do this again. You already know, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't, next time hit me up, especially I'm ready for that Iron Lord's
you getting the red carpet treatment. You already know that the trumpet's gonna be blaring, there's gonna be rose petals on the carpet, everything's going down. We're gonna do it right, and I'm bringing Forte as well with you. We're gonna do a double feature.
Sounds like a plan, man. You guys have a great morning. Chat. Everybody but I Dizzy, have a great weekend. And,
oh my God.
The division hater I Dizzy.
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm not gonna say I hope you get diarrhea in traffic, but
oh damn, that's brutal.
But though, I'm sorry, I Dizzy, I'm playing with you, man. Have a great one too. Take care.
Man, you can only say that if you know somebody real well, because
Shout out to Slow. Shout out to Dizzy for being silly. I love it. Oh my god. Where were we with the updates, man? Where we at?
So now we're on this week's 12. We'll catch up to kind of what's current. But yeah, we're looking at the calendar. We've seen most of what's going to happen outside of these general for everybody things, the Revelry, Arc Week, those types of things are going to be early to mid-April, a little bit in May, and that's going to kind of wrap up the season. But right now, we got everything. Now, I kind of want to ask you guys your opinions on just the fact that we do have everything, and we're like 3 weeks in. There's not like the drip feed. It's not a little slower, but now you've seen it all, and now if you kind of got there up quick, what do you guys think about your time in it? Like, how do you guys feel about this season so far, the way we've seen everything?
Go for it, Josh.
I feel like this season is kind of the opposite of the Black Armory season for me, in that the Black Armory had milestones that were spread out nice and evenly. They were PvE things, which generally speaking, I play mostly PvE. And so there was always, the next forge to be unlocked. And there was that kind of, that, I don't want to say carrot again, because I feel like I've said that too many times, but that next activity on the horizon.
Yeah.
Whereas with the season, but going back to Black Armory, the lore was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Like there was the interesting introduction of Ada right at the start, where she's like, "I hate Guardians. Like you don't belong here," that kind of thing, which I thought was really compelling. But then it kind of just went by the wayside and never really progressed into something that I thought was worthwhile to the overall Destiny lore. Whereas with Season of the Drifter, it's the exact opposite. Like, I love the Nine, I love the Drifter, Dredge and Yor is so cool, Shin Malphur, like all of this stuff is awesome. Like, I think that the growing schism that's occurring between the Guardians on the side of the Drifter and Guardians on the side of the Vanguard is so fascinating. It's something that I've kind of been waiting for Bungie to do for a long time, is kind of build up kind of a faction system that actually matters, unlike things where you had faction rallies, but there's no difference between Dead Orbit and New Future War Cults and New Monarchy. Like, it's just a name. Whereas here, like, I feel like Destiny has a potential to really do something interesting. And there were those leaks about Destiny 3 potentially having, siding with the darkness or siding with the light. And I don't know if this is a lead into that or what the end game is here. I mean, I predicted that the end game was going to be you and Shin Malphur and the Shadows of Yor all standing in a Mexican showdown on Dwindler's Ridge. But given some of the revelations about Shin Malphur, that might not actually end up being the case. But I think that this can take us somewhere interesting. The question is, how quickly will Bungie follow up on it? Considering that the Season of Opulence is going to be the next season, and that looks like it's a return to kind of the year one Destiny questions that are lingering with Callus and the Leviathan.
Absolutely.
That I don't know, like, Bungie seems reticent to solve lore mysteries in a timely manner. And so, but I'm along for the ride. Like, I think the invitation of the Ninth of every week is so interesting. I think it's a cool evolution of what they did with the Queen's Court throughout Forsaken. And so the lore is really what I love about Destiny. In addition to, I mean, obviously the gunplay is fantastic, but the lore is the carrot that keeps me. There it is again. Man, I love carrots.
no, it's right.
He's talking like he's a writer right now. I love it. I love it.
But but that is why I continue to be invested and engaged in the game, is all the different layers of story that they have and are able to tell. And I think that's why I may not become interested in what continues to go on with Anthem and what is going to go on with the Division, is that so far their lore is not compelling. And Destiny's, since day one, I mean, has been just so weird and full of mystery. And it just, Bungie is so good at getting you to come along just a few more steps and a few more steps and a few more steps. And I think Season of the Drifter has been fantastic with that. It's like, I can't wait till Xur shows up. I get off work in 3 hours, and I'm going to go home and immediately go find Xur and get another.
You mean you're going to immediately watch Ibanch's video and then you're going to go find Xur? That's what you really meant to say.
No, man, because the editors at Lords of Gaming take like a couple hours, so I got to get my piece written.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh man, listen, let me jump in on this. This is interesting because I'm conflicted with Season of the Drifter. It's just a weird thing. Like, the gameplay loop between Prime and Reckoning is okay. I don't mind it. You know what I'm saying?
It's boring.
But after the second or third run of it, it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So I have a little issue with that. The Thorn Quest dropping out, that was an immediate carrot on a stick. Everybody's going to hit the ground running with that, the tremendous lore of the gun and what have you. For me, my treat is literally, like Josh said, it's Fridays. It's Invitation of the Nine. I want to know more. And I thought that was really well done. Like, I really enjoy, what I'm saying, finding out, I'm not going to spoil it, but backstory, right? And I didn't know what was going on. I like that Drifter felt a way about us finding out what's going on. And I thought that was well done. So that's been my little carrot on the stick, so to speak. Like, I want to know every week. Now we're gonna find out in the next. I mean, in the what you call it, TWAB. Not necessarily all the time it's gonna be the same way, but I think this is cool because the 9 are mysterious. You want to know what the intentions are. You want to know more about Drifter and what's going on with that aspect. So literally, what I thought Division would completely peel me away, the lore aspects of the 9, as well as picking the side of the Vanguard or the Drifter, is what's keeping me coming back.
Can we just say that the voice actor for the Drifter, who I just looked up his name, Todd Habercorn, is awesome.
Yes.
He's been doing a great
so
job.
Good. Like, by far the best voice acting of any character who's not awoken in the game. Like, I love Marasov and I love Aldrin. But man, like, he is just fascinating to watch, and the digital acting in that first cutscene that we see that we saw in last week's Invitation of the 9.
Facts.
Just so good.
So good. He is. And to be in his defense, that's a great point, because let's be real, like, me and you've had discussions about, the Cade death, the impact, and Cade was beloved, right? Like, let's be real, like, Drifter kind of slid in that spot. And, like, I'm not gonna say I don't miss Cade, but sometimes I forget he died. Like, I know it's messed up to say, because Drifter is so intriguing to me. Like, it's weird. I'm in a weird spot.
Oh, you want to go? Or
No, go for it.
Yeah. So something that I was actually literally thinking about earlier today, because I went and looked up those stats that they posted up last week in anticipation of the show today, and I wonder what the split would have been between Vanguard and Drifter if Cade was still alive. Because one thing that I think has been really weird is how sidelined Akora has been basically the entire time.
Yes.
Like, she just sits in the, not even in the annex, but in the little side region where Hawthorne is, and doesn't do anything. And Zavala is more involved and engaged, but like, I feel like Destiny 2 has really kind of not made the Vanguard into interesting people. In a way that, like, they focus so much on the Drifter, and I thought that Hawthorne was going to take a bigger kind of step forward, but even she is now totally sidelined. And so I kind of want to see a bit of a redemptive arc for the Vanguard, and making maybe not redemptive, but a reinvigoration of the Vanguard as characters that you look up to and that you aspired like towards. And, like, I don't know, I want them to be cool again. Like, I don't feel like either Akora or Zavala is particularly cool right now. But the Drifter is hella cool.
I feel you, man. Any thoughts for that for you, boy?
I mean, yeah, it was like you guys said a lot and covered a lot of the pieces too. It's like the voice acting is cool, but yeah, it's like if Zavala had, stepped up and been like, all right, let's go get it. Icor's like, cool, we going after this vengeance. You would have a different feel for the Vanguard and be like, okay, they're going to step up, take care of their fallen brethren. Drifter comes in, but he's got these interesting things. I'm kind of with you. Like, if Cade would be alive, or if that arc didn't have it, then everybody was like, Zavala's kind of being a turd right now. Like, if that aspect of it didn't have happened, and a lot of people are just like, dude, I got burned by Zavala. He just, he wimped out on us. And then you got the Drifter coming in, getting this little, like, mystery about him. Of course, everybody's going to go that direction. It makes it almost an easier choice, because we don't know. We're going to go down this path, and you have a choice that makes sense. And the Vanguard, as you said, I mean, Dizzy said it in chat. He's like, the Vanguard currently are complacent. They're just kind of chilling in tower. They're holding it down. They know the Guardians do their thing. They haven't been driven. They haven't had those moments where, like, Zavala's like, get with me, and, like, pops his bubble, and Ikor is like, and just like smashes the ship and just kind of goes. We haven't had but one of those moments, and then they've just been sitting on their perches again. So we get to a point where we've been bored of the Drifter, or not bored of the Drifter, bored of the Vanguard, and we have mystery. We have this guy that's got backstory, could be good, could be bad. Like, who's not going to do that? Of course you are. So it's like the first character for sure. You might do a second, just to see the other side, but the first one seems a lot more compelling and intriguing with the Drifter with ease. It doesn't feel like they set both of them up to be compelling. Now, I haven't gone down the Vanguard path. I will, but just in the setup, at least, it doesn't seem like it's got a chance. So
yeah, I agree.
But one thing that was interesting in Warmind that they set up that I think they could bring back in a compelling way is Anna Bray was searching for who she was prior to becoming a Guardian. And I think that could be an interesting way to, I guess, get into some interesting things with the Vanguard, is going and looking and finding who Zavala and Ikora were before they were Guardians. Like, I think there are compelling stories there that could, I don't know, bring them around in kind of a major way.
No, absolutely, man. I agree. Good stuff, man. What else we got?
But yeah, so I mean, for the rest of the season, we've got one more map next week. All the private matches load up on April 2nd, the following week. And then finally, we do get our 2 pieces for everybody, annual pass or not. We've got Arc Week, which everybody is... no one knows what the hell that is.
Yeah,
we joked about it before. Every podcast you listen to, that's just like, is it just Arc Singe everywhere? Or
everybody just pops out Thunderlord that week.
Yeah, just Thunderlord, use your main ingredient, and then your kinetic, and you're good. Like,
so I wonder if the Arc Week is going to tie into either the Reckoning or what's going on the Drifter ship, and like we are charging something up.
See, that'd be really cool.
That's my theory. Is that it's a world event that takes place with every single Guardian, and you have to, every Guardian combined has to get 1 million art kills or whatever it is over the course of a week, and doing that charges something in the Drifter ship.
See, that's one of the coolest ideas, but of course the writer coming in with the creativity.
Of course. That's LordTheGamer.net right there. He talking that talk, baby. Yeah. Let's go.
And then we got the Revelry, which looks like it's going to be a longer event. Like we had, this one's going to be another 3-week event, it looks like. So we definitely have some more time to spend in the Spring Forest. A little brighter colors, it looks like. And that will be coming April 16th to May 6th. But those are the general ones for everybody. But we've basically seen everything. I was like, we've talked about it before, so yeah, we don't need to go through it all. But it's just kind of interesting now that we all have it, there's not really a rush for anything you said. There's no raid to grind up for. And tier 3 is just going to be waiting until I get there. I'm 687, so I mean, if I found a couple, I'd probably potentially be able to do it. It very much depends on the roles of the day. I can tell you that. If you go, they took Glass out, thank God. Glass was brutal. Yeah, and they did put Prism back in to give it another more of a rotation. But if you have a bad roll on that day, just may as well be like, nope, not going to do it that day. Which is kind of an interesting thing for an end game piece of content to say, how are my modifiers today? They suck. Never mind. Like that's kind of disheartening for some days to be like, hey, I got everybody coming in. What's the random roll for Friday? Oh, okay. What else are we going to play?
That's why I said it's fun. That's why it's such a mixed bag for me, because the content loop is not necessarily what I'm here for. I'm actually here for the narrative aspects things. Yeah. And it's fun. It's a weird spot. It's so uneven for me. Like I really want to go in on it, but then I'm like, damn, I like the Drifter. I like the Lord there. I love the 9 there. But necessarily, I don't like looking forward to these terrible. I don't necessarily like grinding Gambit Prime all the time, or you know what I'm saying.
So Cog, what you're saying is that maybe it might be helpful to have some kind of tests or trials that relate to the 9 that could propel you forwards.
That's my love, Josh. He talks that Irish talk that we need to preach the good word, brother. That's my man. You already listen. I'm hoping upon hope. And another reason that got me excited, and E knows I've said it, ad nauseum, is the fact that the 9 are away from trials and they're in Gambit. Stay over there. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, like that's what I'm hoping for. And again, shout out to you, Josh. You had a great article in reference to the things, I believe, just theories in general, what you think could happen, you know what I'm saying, as far as where this season is going and who you think things might be leading up. And I like the fact that you said my boy in there, so I'm happy.
Hey, I have zero doubt that the character reference is Osiris by the Emissary of the Nine last week. The other one is much more up in the air, but I'm leaning towards it being Rasputin, just to kind of tie back into what happened over the course of the last year in Destiny. But I would love if it was Eris Morn. She's my girl.
Scream, I see you in the chat. We were literally talking about what you're saying. He said, Scream said he's working on a theory on who the infinite hourglass and the old knife sharpened anew. Do me a favor, Scream, put in the chat. Can you tell us who you think those two are? Because literally that's the article that Josh wrote, and he gave his theory into who he thinks those two are. If you can put that in, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense for it to be Rasputin. The old knife, obviously, Rasputin is from the Golden Age, and it was forgotten for a really long time and then reawoken recently, so it's been resharpened. If we want to go a little more literal in terms of blades, if we think all the way back to the Taken King, at the end of it, after defeating Oryx, Eris Morn, who was a non-player character that was fairly prominent in Destiny 1, but we haven't seen her in Destiny 2. She takes Oryx's sword at the end of Destiny 1, which to me indicated that she was taking control of the Taken via the sword logic. She was taking the throne that you left empty, but that thread hasn't seemed to be picked up in Destiny 2. It seems like Sabathun and Courier Blade Transform are the ones who have taken control of the Taken since Oryx's throne has been left empty. At least that seems to be what's indicated by the Dreaming City. But whether that holds true, well, who knows when we'll see that.
Interesting. The theory's gonna go on. This like I said, it's the narrative right now that's keeping me. It's in a good place. But we got a lot of twab to get into. So what else we got, man?
So Iron Banner returns with double valor. So like got a little extra valor if you guys are working on that in the coming week. And we've actually got some modifiers this time for how this is going to work. You got Iron Burden and Wolf's Favor. So Iron Banner is one of the few playlists where power level matters to some extent. It never feels totally drastic, but to a point, it does give you an advantage or disadvantage depending on how far apart in level disparity you are. So if you're like 700, somebody else is like 621, you're likely to have an easier time to kill that person. Now, what does that do for the average player who's like, hey, I just got into it and I'm like 600 and I'm like 580. Oh crap, there's 700 people out there. So they want to try and make it to give you a reason to kind of equalize or level the playing fields, or maybe just take the PvP world and make it a little harder upon yourself. So they've got two things coming in. They've got the Iron Burden and Wolf's Favor. Iron Burden is going to be the consumable. Basically, it's just going to be your way to challenge yourself and drop your light level by 100. Pretty big drop. Like if you ever look at their little power graph they did eons ago, 100 is a pretty sizable drop in your damage that you output and also how much you're going to take. So it's definitely going to change up how it feels for sure. It's going to take 5 Iron Banner tokens to purchase one. But if you do grind one out, and I know you've been waiting for this one because this is like one of yours that you've said before, if you finish a burden by defeating 500 opponents while the Iron Burden debuff is active, you will be rewarded with an updated version, fully masterwork, curated role, wizened rebuke.
Woo! Oh yeah, that's my baby.
That is your baby. I was like, I remember you saying it's like, oh, I got my wizened. Like I know there was a boy where that was your go-to for a little while.
Well, wow, it's tough now because you know it sucks because I have loaded question. I gotta see how the curated role is, but literally loaded question has finally dethroned Ikelos as in my energy slot as shotgun, because Ikelos would never be able to get out. But then since the trench barrel nerf, and then it just, not that it's not good, it's still good, but it's just wizened. It's so effective in so many situations, and like especially gambit strikes, that explosion damage is so big, and then you can still do boss DPS with it. It's really, but shout out to Wise and Rebrooke. I'm gonna give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. Baby, it's the old one.
But also, what I was gonna ask, what do you think of hey, your new curated role, your masterwork for grinding out 500 kills, which is not a small number for one, with the debuff, which will make it even harder on you, is like a masterwork year 1 thing. Do you think that's a fair reward? Do you think they should have been a little more creative?
I think the way 500 is a lot. I mean, let's be real. Like that's not no easy task. Like killing 500 people with this, basically self nerf, so to speak. I like the idea of the self nerf because I feel higher level guys, need some other incentive. You know what I'm saying? And then, it's what the Iron Banner has always been controversial with that whole power level thing. I like it, you know what I'm saying? But then again, some people that, they feel like it's unnecessary. I think this allows them to play with it. The reward, I mean, even though I'm a fan of Wisdom Rebuke, I don't know if necessarily that's gonna, galvanize the base to do this.
At least it's not another hand cannon.
I'll give you that.
True, you know what I'm saying? We gotta see. I mean, I like the idea of it. I don't know if I'm sold on the rewards and the investment. That's where I'm at right now.
Fair enough. What about you, Josh?
I'm not a big fusion rifle fan. I tend to like shotguns or sniper rifles in my second. I have a pretty god-rolled Badlander that I absolutely adore.
Nice.
And then I use Ikelos sniper rifle when I'm doing PvP stuff. But I don't know. I mean, 500 is a lot. And like over the course of playing Iron Banner, I think Iron Banner's boring. Like it's just more Crucible. Like I want to see Iron Banner evolve into something more interesting. Like what if it was well, no, I had an idea of what if Iron Banner was like a tournament basically over the course of the week. And so at the end of it, it's like the top third players, they get some reward. The middle third players get some reward. And the bottom third of players get some reward for participating. And so the matchmaking is basically putting you against players to determine your overall ranking. Just like, I don't know, something. But for now, I mean, Iron Banner is just more of the same Crucible with power levels in it. So there's no incentive for me to go and do this. Like, sure, having another gun, great. But like, I already have one. I don't need a fully masterworked version of it because I'm never going to use it anyways. If I'm going to use a fusion rifle, I'll pull Telesto out. Like, I don't know why it's not a big enough incentive for me to care about Iron Banner beyond the 5 matches I'll play to get my powerful rewards.
Yeah, I feel you on that. What about you, E? Is that enticing you? I know you're not necessarily a Crucible guy like that.
No, I mean, I'll play some here and there. I've had some fun. It's like I dabbled in the tiniest bit of comp actually working on the Thorn Quest just because it moved the bar a little quicker and I had somebody playing with me. So that helped a little bit. But yeah, it's like Iron Banner, as you were even before, like they would be different modes. Maybe it was Iron Banner Mayhem or Iron Banner Control. It has been Control since D2 launched. It is the same thing. It's like War Blackjack's in there. Give us combined arms, give us larger maps, give us some reason to set it apart. Like I'm with you, Josh, for sure. And then the other side, you have this Wolf's Favor where you take like lower level people, you bump them up a max of 100 up to 700 for 30 minutes. So it's pretty short. I mean, how many matches is that? 3? Maybe. I don't know. I thought steroids lasted longer than that, but I mean, I don't have much experience. I was like, it kind of depends, but it's also like Cognito's like losing his mind over there. But you've also got a chance to get the drop from the daily story, Vanguard Strikes, Nightfalls, Flashpoints, Gambit, weekly milestones. You can't even go buy it for like Glimmer or Shards or anything. You got to go do the other content that you're doing anyway. It's like, it's like, here, do this while you level up a little bit, and we'll give you one of these things to go have a boost in Iron Banner. It's like, you got to go spend time in PvE just to try and get your boost for PvP. And it's like I don't know, the disparity between those two seems...
It feels like a weird concession.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, I still like it. I mean, I'm biased. I'm a PvP guy. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we need something to do.
Well, I guess you said the Power Surge bounties are only for annual pass holders.
Yes.
Okay, because I was gonna say it feels weird that it's a 100 level increase if you can Power Surge up to 640. But if that's just for annual pass holders, then I can see why. Okay, never mind.
I mean, like I said, for me, I do like Iron Banner. I do like the unique control aspect because it's a different control. I love the 3 lockdown system when you get all 3 points. Is it stale right now? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna say like, it's so much different than anything else. I can see what you're saying, E, as far as variety. They probably do need to introduce, other modes within it. It's just that the community loves control so much that even though we say it, if they do it, I can see the minute they do it. Oh, I gotta play Clash, or oh, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I remember like people love control that much, you know. So we gotta see. But I agree, something probably needs to be added to spice it up.
Yeah. So we've got the ups and the downs. We'll see how that goes next week. Good luck grinding your 500.
What if you got Redrix?
Ooh.
Hello.
That's see, what if they put now there you go. What if they put Iron Banner pinnacle weapons? So that it's a pinnacle weapon only through the Iron Banner season.
See? Now
I'm with you on that.
But they don't have, but that's why I was like, I don't think the Wizen Rebuke is going to be quite at that level with its own unique perk. It's just going to be a masterwork, probably, you know, maybe faster charge time, rangefinder, and you got a fusion rifle. Like, it needs its own thing. So that'd be cool. That'd be nice. Armor sets, I'll show them on screen, but do you guys I mean, okay, thank you. I was saying this to Cognito yesterday. Like,
I've liked previous ones. I like that. I like that Titan set. I think that Titan set looks pretty cool.
I think the Hunter look pimp. That's about the only one I like. I do not
like the Hunter. Like the Hunter cape from like the neck up looks cool with like kind of the sheen around the head. But I'm kind of
it's horrible.
Warlock. But I was like, honestly, for both three of these, I haven't felt like Iron Banner sets have been distinct from other seasons. They're all slight variations on everything from Destiny 2.
The last two of them have been, but yeah, I agree. Not feeling it.
So those will be there. We've got, so I guess this will be maybe the Wizen Rebuke in Iron Banner form. They also mentioned they updated a version of Orwing's Maul with random rolls. So that'll be kind of in the rolls as well for Iron Banner this time. That's the single shot grenade launcher, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And he's offering a new emblem you'll be able to pick up. And this one will track your higher power opponents defeated in Iron Banner. So at least you can see your progress with the new emblem. Hopefully it doesn't cost too much to pick up. But that pretty much wraps up Iron Banner, and this is going to be the main topic of the day. So before I open my big mouth, not big mouth, but before I open my mouth at all.
March Madness brackets, that's the big topic of the day.
Yeah, that totally, 100% March Madness brackets. Unfortunately, my team, my school's probably not going to make it to the end, so I haven't had to bet against KU this year. But all that being said, enhancement course. Now, they are a point of contention between different people, different levels of players, casuals, streamers, all those different things. Everybody's got different opinions. But the infusion system is one of those things a lot of people have an issue with. So I'm going to read this out just so everybody on the podcast can hear this thing. And then I'm going to go Josh first, then Cognito, then me, so I can kind of save my thoughts for the end. So I'm going to read this just verbatim because I want everybody to hear all the pieces. I'm going to pause at certain points so you guys can let certain things sink in as well, because it needs to be like this needs to be heard from Bungie's perspective, and I want to know why. So the conversation around enhancement cores. Here's the Destiny dev team. The goal of the infusion system is to create an impactful feeling of...
You got a little background.
Josh, you might want to mute.
Thanks, bro.
Sorry.
That's cool. Yeah, go for it. Go for it, E.
So the goal of the infusion system is to create an impactful feeling of progression when you increase the power of an item you enjoy using. An infusion system with no scarcity around the materials would diminish this impact. To that end, we tapped into a material with inherent scarceness, enhancement cores, which used to have a different name as well. They used to be masterwork cores, and I just added that in, to use as one of the keystone materials for this process. This is the goal of the infusion system. But if the overall system is causing a negative experience, we want to work to improve it. Long, pregnant pause there. We're constantly monitoring the infusion economy to see what kind of impact it has on gear usage. We keep a close eye on the amount of infusion materials being earned versus how many are being used, and we'll continue to make adjustments as needed. To that end, we'll be making a change in Season of Opulence with the goal of providing more access to enhancement cores. Scrapper bounties previously dropped randomly when dismantling gear. There was no reliable way to earn enhancement cores using these bounties, and we didn't feel they were providing enough materials. We will be deprecating these bounties at the start of Season 7. Parenthesis. Note that any unfinished scrapper bounties still in your inventory at the new season can be completed before they naturally expire. In their place, the gunsmith will now offer a selection of daily and weekly bounties that can be purchased for gunsmith materials. As with the scrapper bounties, each of these will include, among other things, an enhancement core as a reward when completed. Our hope is that this increased access and control over enhancement core acquisition will help improve the balance of materials being earned versus materials being used. As always, we'll be continuously monitoring this item economy along with your feedback to assess its effectiveness. So, now Josh, you can come back to the world. Thanks for muting for a second. I know we're catching you in a tough spot, but thanks for joining us either way. But yeah, so all that being said, I want thoughts now before I say anything else.
Okay, so yeah, I can give my thoughts real quick, and then I have to run, so I'm gonna miss the fireworks.
No, that's fine. That's probably okay. We'll get your thoughts in here first.
So I think Bungie is in a tough spot because what they want to have happen is they want new gear to drop for players. They want players to put that gear on, test it out, see if they like it, and if they don't, put that gear into things they already do like. Like that is fundamentally what Bungie wants to have happen in terms of gear. Now, the problem is that enhancement cores are a bad idea. They're too rare, and like I have 150 some enhancement cores, but I don't want to spend them because why would I upgrade my Whisper when I know that, in 2 more hours I can upgrade it by, 10 more light levels. Like, so then I just am always locked in this perpetuating cycle of never wanting to upgrade anything because the next thing is coming. So I have an idea for a fix.
Let's hear it.
So to get people to try out new things, but also to bring along their old favorites. So I say scrap enhancement cores altogether. But if you want to infuse gear, put it on a timer. So you can only infuse your gear once a day, or once every 2 days, or once every 3 days, or some length of time. So then it's, okay, I got a new piece of kit. Like I can decide to infuse it into, so I get a new rifle, put it into Whisper, I bring Whisper up. Great. Now I can't put new gear into Whisper for at least a day. So that means if there are new pieces of gear that drop, I will have a chance to try them out before I then go and raise Whisper up. But then I don't feel like I am wasting time by always enhancing Whisper or Thunderlord or Jotun or whatever your gun of choice is. So it then becomes a choice of, okay, when do I want to upgrade this? Not should I upgrade this?
I see where you're going with it. I mean, it's interesting.
So bring in some of those free to play, chests like unlock things from mobile games and put it on a timer. Like you can only infuse once a day.
I see where you go. It's interesting. I'm in the middle. This is it. First of all, if you got to run, bro, let me give you a good out.
I actually got to go. So,
Josh, thank you so much for coming through, man. Knowledge, lore knowledge, destiny knowledge. One of the best young writers in the game. What website you writing for, John?
So I'm writing for lordsofgaming.net. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's a kind of a young up and comer. It's got a pretty good hype man though who's front running it.
Nice.
So I'm currently doing weekly pieces on the Invitations of the Nine and what goes on with that, including various lore speculations. And then starting today, I'll be working on Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and I'll have a review for that up sometime in the next couple weeks.
Nice, man. Josh, a pleasure. We got to bring you back. Also, we got to get you out the coffee shop. And
no, man, I'm at a pub. I'm in the UK. There's a pub on my college campus.
I respect you for doing that. Bro, I know you got to go, but you definitely will be back, and we will continue more Destiny lore discussions.
Indeed. Thank you so much. It's been a fantastic time.
Absolutely,
awesome.
Bro. Yeah, I'm going to put his article in there so you guys can check it, man. The guy is really a great young writer. He really knows his Destiny lore. He's like a little mini Bife. he's a Bife, man. So,
without the accent.
Exactly.
That's really what's holding me back.
That's why I sent you over there so you can adopt the UK accent. Yeah. Have a good one, buddy.
All right, guys. Take it easy. Thanks for having me.
So, yeah, man. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, look, cores initially I didn't have a problem with. Right at first, I'm like, okay, I see what they're
okay.
trying.
Well, okay, stop it right there. What were they called and what were they used for?
And what was it when they were masterwork cores?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. If I remember, yeah, it wasn't just part of the infusion process, kind of similar to what it was now.
Part of the masterworking process.
Right. Yeah, correct. You
only,
right. Oh, it's feisty about this. He's ready.
Oh, you can't. Nuh-uh.
He's ready.
It's coming.
I feel the last word gun being cocked towards my head.
Loading it up right now.
Listen, should Evantis Malfer. Here's the deal. I mean, you're absolutely correct. It was just for that purpose only, right? Then as soon as the Forsaken came, then we got, this whole new bit of now instead of just, leveling up a gun, you're requiring masterwork cores. And I think the thing that is also getting missing from this is the additional materials you need. You need Glimmer and you need legendary shards, right? So now leveling these weapons, makes you're depleting yourself of 3 resources, and one of them being masterwork cores, enhancement cores, are very rare, right?
Exactly.
So that's when I didn't understand the system. I started it, and the next thing you know, I am running through cores, and it became bad. And the main issue I have is that I understand them trying to want to stop power leveling, but here's the fundamental problem. And shout out to Paul Tassi, because we know he's on this. You know what I'm saying?
I literally read this and I was like, I literally went to his Twitter. I was like, all right, what did he say? And I was, it didn't take long. Yeah,
Paul Tassi's been on it, man. And I think the biggest offense to me is, one, I can't look how I want and play with what I want based on this system. On this system, in order to survive, in order to be efficient, you really kind of got to take what's given at the higher light. You know what I'm saying? So because of the whole thing. And then the more important thing is, now they're talking about, we have Spider as our resource, the 6 bounties or what have you. Fine, you blow through those. Then you had the Scrapper bounty, which I do agree. I agree with their thought process that it's not a reliable way, because yes, it was random. You never knew when you're going to get a Scrapper bounty. You just dismantle something and boom, here, you finish something and boom, here it pops up, and it's very random. So that wasn't a consistent thing. I don't have an issue with them necessarily giving Banshee functionality. The question for me is going to be how many bounties he has. From what we're hearing, right, daily and weekly, is just 1 core per. Right.
Yeah, they very specifically had enhancement core, not cores.
Exactly. So again, I don't want to blast Banshee all the way yet until I see it, but from how it sounds, it still sounds minimal, right? So let's say we do Scrapper bounties that week. I mean, no more scrap. I mean, you do Spider bounties that week. You get your 5 or 6. You do whatever, how we don't even know how many. Let's just say he has 4. I mean, let's say he has, I don't know, let's say he has 3. What is it? 2 dailies and a weekly. We don't even know.
Right.
And then that's it. You're still depleted of a necessary resource for leveling. Like, and it's just too scarce, and I want to shout Tassi. I believe I want to shout Rick Kakis, because Kakis had a video out. And he made another suggestion. And he's like, why don't they tie it to powerful loot drops? Like, how you do your powerful gear for the week?
Yeah.
Why can't there be a set amount? Hey, if I do my 3 Gambit matches, you get your 2. If I do Crucible, you know what I'm saying? Especially Crucible. Give Crucible people something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, seriously.
But again, it's just a flawed system. But this is my last point, and I'll give it to you because I know
you're good.
I know it bounced this mouth first.
No, you're fine. I'm breathing. You're good.
Here's the thing. This is the Bungie lately that I've been concerned about, and that's why I put it in my title. Is Bungie stubborn? Is because we just been through the trials fiasco, right? And everybody's like, "Yo, we love 3v3 elimination. We love trials how it is." And Bungie comes back and say, "We know what's best for you. It's not that." I got a problem with that. I have a problem with that. It's basically, we are being shut down with cores in the same fashion we're being shut down, how we were shut down with trials. The community does not want this. I mean, for the most part, outside of what maybe Cathalion, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't think of many popular Destiny streamers or community members that are just so infatuated with the core system. They definitely need to be tweaked. And again, I just don't like this attitude of, you know, this is how it's going to be. We're not going to remove them. We're going to tweak, but the jury's out, man. I'm trying to get them the benefit of the doubt with this Banshee thing before I truly go ham. I know you're about to go in, but it just feels like they don't want to budge on this core thing, man. They just stay digging in the ground. And with games like Division out and Anthem trying to resurge or whatever, it's only so many times you're going to keep pissing people off with things that they love. And you're kind of in a content, I don't say content drought, but in a drip feed kind of state, right? With annual pass. This is not the time to be telling your community no. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really not the time. You know what I'm saying? We had Slow on. He's 100% invested in Division. I know people who, at least half of my clan, they're over here. Now, they may come back for the lore stuff, but again, in the past, we've always blamed Activision, evil Activision. Damn it. Why don't they let Bungie do what they want? Maybe we starting to see some stuff that we ain't know about. I am done. Ebontis Malfer. Last word is yours.
All right. So I gotta take a big giant breath because I've got a lot to say on this one.
Oh yeah, here we go.
All right, so I have a couple different opinions on this coming from multiple people's perspectives. Mine being a giant hoarder, and I have a butt ton of these things, and I'm still not a fan of this system. You have different levels of people out there. Take my brother, for example. He grinds the crap out of a lot of stuff, but he isn't just swimming in cores because he didn't save them up when they were quite as popular. And I also stored them up before we had to infuse everything. So whether I have 330, whether my brother has 20, first, you got to picture the economy we have, and the purpose where they started was masterworking. Just weapons, first off. Yes. So they had a purpose. You were going to take a weapon. You were going to say, hey, I've spent some time with this weapon. I love the rolls I got on it. I want to take it, that one perk that's on there, I want to take it to the next level. Cool. You're going to spend this currency, this limited resource, to take this one piece of gear, whether be it weapon first, armor came later, and take it to that next level. So say, hey, this is an important thing to me. I want to use it as my build. Cool. And that's a good thing. Like, that's a way to take your gear and give it depth, give it investment, give it something more to get into it. Okay. That's what they were intended at first. Then when Forsaken came out, we had the name change that they got to later, because it was now they changed the use of it before they even changed the name. You had to use masterwork cores to infuse, and you're like, what the hell is this? So they have this weird dichotomy of, you take a game like Anthem, you take a game like Diablo, even you get a new piece of gear, and say in Anthem, if I go do, working on some stuff, and if I get a masterwork at level, and when I'm level 30, it's always going to be like that. What's Masterworks right now in there? 45, say it's 45 powerless. Say that's what all Masterworks drop at. And that's what they cap at. But I get all of my stuff at that.
Yes.
I even get my blues, my rares. So that's the equivalent piece of Destiny dropping everything, whether it's a blue, whether it's a legendary, whether it's an exotic. Everything would drop at 700 if I'm 700. That doesn't happen. So you have random rolls of which, whether I want masterwork, whether I want a machine gun build, cool. Hey, I get, loaded questions just like you got. Okay, I'm going to get these pieces of armor. Cool. I got some that have mass fusion rifle, scavenger, fusion rifle, reserves, and all those pieces. Okay, that's my build for fusions. Like, you can start making builds, but most of the gear that you get in this game is about 20 powers levels below what you are, or 18, whatever that weird ass number is. You get it below the level. So when you're looking for all these random rolls, they're not all dropping at 700 first.
Correct.
You get your random pieces. So then you have to spend cores on these random rolls to get them back up to where they started. Then you have to spend cores to get them to be that specialized piece of, hey, I got this piece of armor. It's machine gun reserves and machine gun, dexterity or whatever. Those two pieces are awesome. I want to use this a lot. I'm going to masterwork it. That takes cores, the same currency, on top.
Yes.
Now I went through and did the math, and this is what just pissed me off more than anything.
Talk to me.
So if you want to have builds, okay, so say I want to go machine gun reserves.
Yeah.
And I want to go pulse rifle. So that's going to be like my helm, my class item, my chest piece, maybe my boots. Like most of my armor can tie into most of my weapons, and weapons therefore are certain choices. So I'm going to have my go figure pulse rifle. I'm going to have my hammerhead, and I'm going to have, say, my loaded question fusion rifle. If I want to take a set of 8 pieces of armor and gear and weapons and masterwork the whole thing, because I'm like, I love this build. 96 cores.
Jesus. Wow.
It's 17 to fully max each weapon. It's 9 to fully max a piece of armor.
Wow.
Full disclosure, I have never masterworked a piece of armor until the other day, just to see how much it cost.
I'm glad you said that, because that was a point that I missed. And you're killing it, E, because at the end of the day, I've never masterworked an armor. I didn't even see the functional that's a benefit. I didn't feel it was that worth it for me to be giving away this precious resource. You know what I'm saying? For one piece that, and here's the other thing, that when the next content drop comes out, you're going to be doing this all over again. So
exactly
that's another problem, right? They've got to lower the price of admission on masterworking. Like there's no incentive. The only thing now, because remember, masterwork was a cool thing, right? It was before they became enhancement cores, right? Shout out to the dude. He's like 96 cores. Good. Yeah. He's dropping facts. Like before they changed it from masterwork to enhancement, the masterwork process was a cool thing, right? You got the gun. Now, multiple kills, you're getting orbs, right? So this was something like, oh, wow, this is a really cool functionality, an added thing. Now you throw it, you know what I'm saying, into, enhancement cores. And all of a sudden, I mean, these tiers, now you're telling me, you said, what is it, 17 per weapon?
17 per weapon, 9 per piece of armor.
That is insane. There is not enough of the resource around, even if you did, you know what I'm saying? Like your spiders consistently, and you just keep, you're just holding on. There's not enough resource for it. And at the end of the day, they still have to change the system. And I just don't know why they're digging a line in the sand on this. This makes no sense to me. Like, I don't get it, man. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned. This is again round 2 of Daddy Bungo knows best. And I'm not feeling it, bro, because it's like this can be done way better. This can be done way better. You can bring the cost down. Now we're hearing from Banshee that he's going to want, what is it, gunsmith materials, right?
Yep.
We had the discussion off air, me and you, about gunsmith materials, because guess what? Ada, right, who now she has a special role in that she gives you mod components, right?
Yep.
Don't she want some gunsmith materials?
25 each.
She's the only resource for that. Again, why do they have such limited people to get resources, or limited ways to get things? They've got to do better. And then we still have to stick with this current thing until season 7. Like, shout out to the dude that's in the chat, him and Piccolo from Tower Talk. They were talking about that. Like, literally, this doesn't even happen right now, right?
It's Season of Opulence. We're 2 months away.
We're 2 months away. So this is what I like about the Anthem and the Division, in the sense that the proactive nature, the agility of jumping in quick, fix, patch, boom. Why do we have to wait 2 months just for this semi-average kind of solution? Let's be real, right? I don't know, man. I'll let you finish it off, but this very concerning. Not a fan, and we have to see what's going to happen. But as it currently stands, it's a flawed system. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So I mean, you sit there and you think, I mean, Christopher Hart, right there saying it. There's your incentive to even try and masterwork is not there. For one, on the weapons, like, okay, cool. You can't masterwork exotics, so that's not a thing. You can get your catalyst form, and that helps for some, but not all weapons have them. So you can't do like just the masterwork versus the catalyst, like changing the gun up. And then armor, you get a 5% shield bonus for tier 5. Am I going to spend 9 cores for 5% damage, which I'm probably not going to feel on a random roll that I can't even choose to be like, hey, I want 5% help on arc damage.
Again.
Okay. And then it's like, and then I'm 700. And then 2 months from now, when this comes out, I'm going to first thing that's 701. Okay. So either I spend the money to infuse that thing up, which I can, but then I don't care about the old stuff.
Right.
And then on the other side, like if I break it down, somebody said like they had a full set completely masterworked, broke everything down, they got squat for it. You don't even get like that many of them back. Like the breakdown was not like nearly equal to spend all the time that you want. It's not like we break down mod components, we get them back. Now, if I was like, if I could be like, hey, I'm at like, I'm at like 699, 700. I found my cool pieces. All right, I'm going to start masterworking. If I knew for a fact, I broke down that piece and be like, hey, I might wait till I get that new piece of armor or something like that. And if I broke them all down, if I got them all back and could put that effort back into something else, then you get that benefit as well because, okay, I'm not losing the effort I put in from all these gunsmith materials I farmed for, shards that I had to buy everything for, and the time that you put in to either go, I mean, the Tangled Shore. Okay, so here's your loop on the Tangled Shore. Go open chests and do public events and these things to get these currency that you have to buy the bounties for. Then you go out back, use the bounties to go do those bounties to find people in the world to get your cores. Or the other side is going to be the same with gunsmith materials. Go out, shoot things, get random things to drop, break those things down, get your gunsmith materials, then spend the gunsmith materials to get your bounty, go do the bounty, go out, finish the bounty, get your cores. Then you're like, holy hell, I finally just got a core.
And get this.
It's one.
And get this. All the while not being able to play the game you want to play. All the while not being able to do the objectives and the quests you really want to do. This, again, this whole convoluted process. And we keep also negating the fact that it's not just cores they're asking for infusion. Like they still want your shards, which technically you need for Xur, technically you need for other things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just a flawed system. And it, again, you know, shout out to the dude who's in the chat. He said Bungie's renowned for being able to make changes on the fly with hot fixes. Why not just increase the rate at which scrap brownies or master weave consumables drop? Anything is better than waiting. Again, I'm not going to disrespect them. Not saying to do this, but as far as like from a tech standpoint on how it is
slow,
it's just, let's just call it what it is. They're not agile. They're slow. You know. But I think actually they're not slow because we've seen them come in and do stuff when they want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
The difference. It's on they have the choice to be like, hey, I want to like, this thing's breaking the game. Take it out. Deactivate the gun. Prism, like, wasn't it like they didn't think it either had a bug in it? They can take that stuff out. And I know there's a difference between server and client side things. I understand there's multiple platforms and stuff like that. But whatever their tech is, whatever their builds are, those types of things, this is the point where we do continue to see over the past years of Destiny, the 3-month sandbox fixes, as opposed to, hey, this gun's a little out of balance, let's change it next week. Or like in Anthem, like, hey, this thing, like chests are dropping too many masterworks in the world. It's kind of wrong. Bam, it's fixed. Like it's like literally within hours.
But again, what this shows me is, but what the line of the sand really is level throttling. They don't want us to power level. I mean, obviously, the best of the best are going to be able to do it. The hardcore are going to find a way. They're going to do it.
And that's the problem. They can't stop the people they're worried about.
Yeah, they can't stop them.
So it doesn't do them any good to try and slow down the top people because they still are going to find their way to do it. Doing like 6 different raids. Then the casual person.
With Daddy Bungie, that's what he's doing. He's saying he's going to take the L with all you top tier guys, the Abantuses, all you guys. He's like, look, these guys are too smart. They know the ins and outs. They'll figure it out. They are looking at the big pie. Because let's be honest, they got the metrics on all of this. They got them. They're sitting with these numbers on cores about, and I'm going to tell you how, this is my theory on how they came to it. They sat there and they said, okay, let's say they, I'll throw a theoretically number, like 80% of our player base has so many, you know, weapon materials, right? Let's give it to Banshee, right? And this way, the majority of the base, not the hardcore, let's say the 20% is the hardcore, are going to have to do this to get themselves up as opposed to just power leveling through. Because if you look at the structure of the annual pass, everything is drip drop per power level, right? Because when we had Black Armory, you can't do this vote until you're this level, right?
Yep.
Now you got Drifter. You can't do Tears Up until you're this level. If we power leveled, right? If that was the road to entry was blocked, not blocked, and we were able to get all this stuff, and people with 680, that's what they're doing, because this goes against the drip feed annual pass structure. That's what they're doing us. That's this whole thing, and that's why low key, I don't like the annual pass, because that's the only, in my opinion, that's got to be the only reason why they're doing this. They want to throttle us. They want to slow us down. And they figure they'll take the loss on the hardcore. They can't stop them. But as long as the masses can't blaze through the content, that just shows me that the system itself is flawed.
Well, it's like, and that's the problem, is like the masses are the ones you actually want to be able to play your game and feel like they're making progress. And that is a thing you hamper with a huge, basically just slap in the face by saying, hey, I want to work on my powerful gear on my one character I've got. Oh, I did my powerful gear. I might get a prime engram if I keep doing the same stuff over and over. And this comes back to, like, we've talked about it last week. We talked about it on DCP when I was on there. Holtzman brought it up and just said it's like, we're all getting so tired of playing the same stuff. And that's what you have to do to jump into leveling. You have to do the same stuff. You have to run your nightfalls. You have to run your daily activities. You got to do your adventures. How many times am I going to go run a daily activity just to get like a piece of powerful gear to level it up? And this is one character. My Titan is my one at 687. I have not touched my other two this season. Haven't touched them. And I'm getting to the point, I'm like, you got stuff like the Vision. Anthem is trying. Like, and it's got a long road, but it's like they're in a point where like we'll talk about them for a second. Like, talk about them. They want it there, and they're the point of that space magic, and that game still feels fun. Broken, but fun.
Absolutely.
I was like, and you're at a point where it's like, I've been in this for so long, and until they tell me what the hell is coming in September, if it's D3, does this even matter? Or if it's not September, if it's like whenever, whatever that next phase of what is coming after Season of Opulence, what that looks like, does it connect? What is it going to be? Is it a completely new thing? Is all this grind even going to matter? We don't know. And I'm at the point of, that's why this season for me has been slower. I didn't make it to tier 3 at first. And I got 687 because I played a decent amount this week working on stuff, but I'm not even 700 yet. And that's like, and I've played, I feel like, a pretty decent amount, not as much, but I've played a decent amount and I'm not maxed. Imagine the person who's like, you know, say Pope Bear, if he's going to be more casual, even though I think he grinded his butt off. But somebody who plays like on the weekends, or I get a couple hours at night and I go in and I do some stuff. And those may be the people that may be okay with the, hey, let me run my Nightfall tonight. I'll run a couple strikes and then I'm out. And then maybe I'll come back and play Gambit. Maybe they're not at the point of being burnt out.
Right.
But for me, it's the point of the longer they have not added a strike. They have not added a PvP map. They added, like, those two pieces have been completely, and I'm not saying those are easy things to create.
Right.
PvP maps probably easier than strikes. I know there's balancing time versus actual asset creation, and that's a point where it's like an issue of resources. And this draws back into my final piece of like whether they're trying to throttle us, which feels like they can't win either way, so they're screwed. So honestly, quit stopping us personally. Quit trying to slow us down, because you're not going to stop the big people, and let the other people enjoy it who do get to play casually. Because I still think like there's a small team doing everything they can, and like 80% of that entire studio, because it's all in house now, is working on whatever's next. And that is the piece where this focus is on, where they're trying to make it good, and they have to absolutely crush it. But man, there's some of this stuff that's leaving a really bad taste in my mouth. So like, I know it was a long ass rant. Sorry.
No, we had to talk about it. I mean, that's one thing I love about this doing this podcast with you, is that, you know, we're gonna keep it true. We love this game, but at the end of the day, we got to call a spade a spade. And you know, these are things that need to be rectified. And if you dissatisfy the base, you know, and that's the good thing about competition, right? The good thing about a division being out, and the good thing about an Anthem on a comeback, and we're gonna get into that, you know, is that now they have no choice. There's no excuse of the Activision thing. They have no choice. If you don't adapt and keep your base happy, then they are going to go other places. And obviously, we love this game. We don't want to see that happen. But the good thing is, hopefully, the pressure of these games can get them to kind of change. I will leave it on a positive note, in that the only good thing that I did see, and I don't know if we got a chance to talk about it last time we did the last word, was that shout out to, I believe, Glad. I saw him put a post up So it looks like the good old community summit is coming back for the season of opulence. And that made me smile because I was worried, because remember Destiny 2 launched, it was in a bad space. Player base, pretty much died off. Curse of Osiris was almost like the nail in the coffin. They sent out the volunteer squad. They want to listen to the community. They brought them down there. We seen what happened. We got a Forsaken, right? As far as opulence and the future, I'm really hopeful. You know what I'm saying? That gives me hope. Like it gives me positive vibes that at least they're not that tone deaf where they're like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So we'll see what happens. We'll get the big guys down there. Hopefully they send the PvP community as well. You know what I'm saying? And we just want them to listen, man, because we make this game. You know what I'm saying? We make this game. And I don't want to see anything bad happen to them, especially when they're on their own now. So that's all I got on it. What you think about the whole community summit thing before we move on?
I mean, the more the merrier in there. I mean, last time we had different things I don't know what the specific piece of the change was, but I know there was one of those. They're like, hey, how about this? And the whole like crowd that was there was like, nope. So, I mean,
yes,
if they're open to saying things like that and people come back and be like, I'm sorry, but the cores suck. Like they need to be open ears at some point to finally be like, okay, all these people from all these different spaces are tired of this crap.
Yeah. Why haven't the vendors been updated? Why haven't
oh my god things, like bro. There's so many things from like D1 that were there, and it's like it's still not all in this game.
Still not all there. Still not.
And I don't know if it's like, hey, do we have enough resources? Okay, we got this investment from NetEase. We broke off on our own. We're working forward to be like, hey, D2 has this like weird stuff going on. We don't know the
where are our catalysts.
Yeah, the catalysts, which have been, where are faction rallies? Where is the catalyst from the faction rallies? Where are the catalysts? Where are catalysts for any piece of armor ever? All of that stuff. It's like, it's not there. So there are many things that have been discussed, thought about previously in theory, and so much I feel has not panned out that again, it's that concept of like, they have to be working on other stuff because that studio is large. Like they're one of the biggest, technically indies kind of per se, jokingly. Like they're one of the biggest studios, like completely on their own. They're huge. And there's a whole bunch of people. And I'm not saying any of this stuff is easy to create. Right. Shout out to every one of the developers there. I know they're working their butt off. These are higher level decisions that some people like, hey, I'm working on making this art SS for this piece of armor. Cool. You are killing it. Art always, there's certain pieces always doing their job. But in turn, like some of the high level decisions for the player experience, that piece of feedback, like I know it's like, they set expectations. At least when this TWAB was coming out, like Dylan was out there the day before saying, hey, this stuff isn't going away. We'll be talking about it more. But man, as soon as that was said, I was literally on Twitch that night. And I was just like in my menu talking to my stream for like, it was probably 15 minutes just ranting. And then we literally went through, I was like, okay, so I know it's 17 for weapons. I was like, let's look at a piece of armor and be like, it's 1, it's 3, it's 5. So it's 9 per piece. And I'm like, 96. I was like, and that just like, I went off in my stream. And that comes just back to this whole piece of experience of you have Division that has sets that start early on. You get a feel, you get those additions of things coming in, and some of that stuff builds up, and there are random rolls. I understand that piece, but it's like the first line of this whole thing, the goal of the infusion system is create an impactful feeling of progression when you increase the power of an item you're using. Okay, an impact is one thing, but I'm like, okay, so if you impact and then masterwork, like we get enough random rolls trying, like I finally got, and I got an amazing roll. I got Ursa Furiosa, which has its ups and downs for uses, but it has finally got my combo of machine gun scavenger and machine gun targeting. First time on a pair of gauntlets for E and E class. And I'm like, holy crap. Like I finally got one. It's sitting on an exotic, which is fine. But I'm like, that took me that long to get. It's one. Yep.
Got a question. Maybe this is my inexperience with the Black Armory. Can you tell me why she's not selling the pulse rifle frames
ever for 3 weeks in a row?
Okay, am I bugging? Yo, bro,
no, 3 weeks straight because I'm waiting on it.
Bro, I am so livid with Ada's lack of updating, because here's the thing. Remember, there wasn't no power surge bounty for Cognito. Little old Cognito came to PC. He had to grind all the way from 300 up to whatever was it, 600, right? Yeah. Then I get there. I can't do none of her bounties because I got to get Izanami out. I get Izanami out. Now the new content's out. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll still do Black Armory. I was excited. I'm like, I can really experience Black Armory the way I want to because now I'm of power level. I go to her. Here she come with the auto rifle, the bow, and whatever the whack other third weapon is, the sword. And I'm like, all right,
been like the same.
3
2
weeks.
out of 3 have been the same for 3
This
weeks.
chick has not updated inventory. Can I get a shot at the black? What is it? The black furnace? What is it? The blast furnace.
They've literally flipped out. They've had the auto rifle, the sword, and it's between like Tatar Gaze and the bow, like back and forth for multiple weeks. Like, haven't seen Hammerhead in 3 weeks. Haven't seen blast furnace in 3 weeks. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. No, bro, it's driving me crazy. So that's when I knew, because I was like, well, maybe it's because I didn't do any before. And that's why I said, I keep forgetting to ask you. And I was like, we have discussions. And I'm glad it came up now because I thought I was losing my mind. I'm like, this vendor does not change on reset for 3 weeks.
They did, like, literally for Season of the Forge, it was literally flip-flopping between mostly like you'd have like every other week you'd probably see most of them, like if not within 3, but it was like usually it was a flip between like back and forth between kind of the sets of 3. They were both always there. And now it's been like it's like 2 slots are broken on the rotation. I'm like, fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, me and Cores, like I've lost my mind on it a couple times at this point, but it's one of those that it takes away from your ability to really dive deep into an in-game because 1, what's the point as we know the power level is going to go up again. 2, it costs infusion cores to get there. And 3, the benefit of a set of masterworking armor hardly even matters. That's the question
so minimal.
I want
such a minimal effect.
Like, they said, they're always so, paradox of choice, or basically, too much data to make like a decision. I'm like, take the data and figure out. I want to know how many people have masterworked a piece of armor, or how many people have masterworked armors that they have chosen to spend cores on. How many cores have been spent on armor? It's got to be small.
Yeah, I agree.
So I know we beat that topic to death. Sorry, guys, but it had to be done.
Fontis Malfour. I like Angry E. It's hot.
I have opinions occasionally. Sometimes they come out eloquently. Sometimes they don't. We'll see.
Sheeta has spoken.
Yeah, and shout out to Don Barnes on my chat. He's like, doesn't even seem like PvP was considered this season. Nope.
Don't even get me started.
I was like, you literally have the Recluse, which I hear is actually pretty solid, by the way.
Absolutely.
But that's it. I mean, you got DDoSing in comp. PC player base is brutally rough on comp. But like no maps, no modes, not even a mode. Like, I mean, Crucible Labs is this unused resource. They haven't brought that thing up in how long? Since was it Forsaken when that thing launched? Yeah, they did like a 3 test and then they haven't touched it again. Are you guys not trying anything?
Yeah,
like, if you are, share the knowledge with us. That might get some hype going forward.
They're the king of introducing new things sometimes and then completely backing away from it, and you never hear from it again. You're like, wait a minute, this part was cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Listen, I know how things go when you're in transition. The only pass I'm giving them is after the Season of Opulence, which is the last of the Bungie, the Activision, quote unquote, influenced or not influenced, depending on who you talk to, contract content.
Yep.
Once that's ended, we're going to learn a lot come September or whenever that next DLC decides to pop its head, or maybe not pop its head, in D3. We'll see.
Absolutely. So that's the big one. They did show the stats for the people who picked, and we already talked about our guess on this one. 75% account level went Gambit, because if you have one character, you're likely to do that. Character level, you went 70 and 30. So usually that second character might be looking at Vanguard, but yeah, 2 out of 3, absolutely. And it's not a shocker. So I don't know the compelling piece of you're not going to get a full lore book if you don't go Vanguard. So second character might be okay, but generally. Gambit's the popular one, and it's not a big surprise. We already kind of talked about why, so we don't need to beat that one down. They do have a hot fix coming for a couple things. We don't need to go all fully in depth on that one. They still have their known issues. If you have any questions about those, jump in. They're all right there. Read them. And then outside of that, a couple movies of the week, and we kind of wrap up with they have the next bounty for PC players because they've done Xbox, they've done PS4. PC will be April 3rd, 12 o'clock. Somebody's saying, like, why are all the bounties always in the middle of the day?
Yeah, that is that. Yeah.
Like, some people be like, could you do it on weekend and evening. It's like I know somebody's got to come in and be off hours, but it's like if you're gonna make a little hype, move the days around a little bit. Not everybody gets to play during the day.
No.
But we got one more quick topic we're gonna touch on.
Sure.
Anthem. One of the pieces, Tassie did kind of shout them out. You got numbers coming out for sales with regards to Anthem. And it's honestly one of those things is that everybody's kind of surprised. It made $100 million in digital revenue. So, and basically I would say about, trying to remember how much exactly, but honestly, it was like a minimal amount from like microtransactions, maybe like 3 or 4 million. Most of it was from sales, and this is just pure digital. So it doesn't include, what am I trying to think of? Doesn't include physical sales, like actual off the box, like put the disc in type thing. So that one's not included. So that's definitely one of those things to consider. But it's like 100 million is not a small number.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, this was I'll jump in. This was a pleasant surprise. We all know, the stumbles. We've talked about it ad nauseum, with Anthem, as far as just getting out the gate wrong. And we all agree the core gameplay is there. The being Iron Man, the game, and the specialized classes, the core aspect is there, but there definitely were a lot of issues from a technical aspect as well as the gameplay loop and the loot drops and so on and so forth. So, we're not going to get into that. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest fears, especially as a BioWare fan, was that as bad as this game, quote unquote, supposedly launched, right? The fear is, hey, this game is not going to do well. It's not going to sell well. The reviews were very low, very bad. And, I'm not trying to say everybody was piling on. People had legitimate concerns and gripes. Now we hear this. And to see that them on the top of NPD February 2019. And remember, people got to understand, a lot with this particular one is even more so impressive to me because PC digital sales were not included in this. And I don't want to undercut like the whole, it was a big thing on PC. We know damn well it runs well on PC as opposed to console. I'll vouch for that. But yeah, man, this is good to see because at the end of the day, we do admit May is a long time to wait for the next the big content thing with the cataclysms, but at least this gives BioWare confidence to EA. And it's like, despite everything, we're still here. We're still selling well. The big boys up top feel good when they see these type of numbers. That reinforces support, and hopefully it can maintain. And hopefully, hopefully it's not too big a drop off the next couple of months, and they kind of maintain. And this is good to me overall. It's good for the hope of the longevity of the franchise because you want them to stick around. You want BioWare to stick around. You want this game to stick around. And I was actually happy about this. So kudos to this. Keep it up. Apparently the second best BioWare launch ever after Mass Effect 3. And we all know how big, you BioWare guys are, how big Mass Effect 3 was for that whole, that whole team. So yeah, for that studio, this is good stuff. This is good stuff, man. Beat out Jump Force, Kingdom Hearts, had a lot of competition, and to see them do that. So let's see what happens. But what do you think about it?
I mean, it's a good thing. They obviously said like for digital, it was 3.5 million was microtransactions, which is fairly small. Tassie's other article was basically saying, like Apex Legends, for example, made like 93 million in microtransactions in fairly similar time. So it's like, yeah, it did out earn in the beginning with the initial sales, but those microtransactions may be a piece of like how many people have stuck around.
And what's important to cut you 1 second, from my understanding, according to Matt Piscatella, we had him on our podcast. I believe, don't quote me, I got to ask him this, but I believe that the EA Origin and Access stuff is not counted in this regard. So if that's
actually,
and if that's the case, that's even more impressive because I know a huge amount of people that said, "Hey, I'm just going to get EA." I did it. I got Premier Origin. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm gonna get that. And for those people to not be counted, we know that's a huge percentage. We know PC digital sales also not counted, and for it to still win NPD, pretty impressive.
Yeah. So I mean, it's got its feet out there and just saying, hey, it's like I tried to walk, I stumbled hardcore, I face planted. But they are trying to pick it back up. And that's the other piece is they have a new like major changes coming. You got cosmetic chests coming. You've got legendary missions that are going to start coming through. So you play back through. They kind of streamline the missions, so you're not seeing as many cutscenes because you've seen them before. But it's a chance to get higher level pieces. I know people have been jumping back in. They've been changing the loot drops from, you know, like Grandmaster 2 is like 2 masterworks in the end. Grandmaster 3 is like 3. They've been trying to buff all that stuff up, and they've been trying. But again, there's also pieces where it is still fairly broken on their baseline, like either math or damage mechanics, which is why that stat page that people would love to see is probably not there for a reason, because it is kind of at a broken point. So me, if I jump up, I fly around, I throw grenades out, and it's like I'm shooting stuff. And like, you know, when I got my first masterwork, it's like it changed kind of the way I played. That stuff is cool. And it's just to a point of like, this is an okay game that hopefully for some, if they take the break, they might burn out on other places, things like that. And then if Cataclysm is cool enough, it might be enough to bring some people around to be like, okay, they've had a couple months. Hopefully they've settled some things out. And if that is a point of bringing people back to say, is this something cool? Does it give it some depth? Is this more end game? Does it change things up enough? And if it does, they got a decent shot, because enough people own it that they're not going to like go return it. Now, there's been a few other things and stuff aside, but generally, I was like, I've still got the admiration for them for trying. But it's also like, I think at some point somebody's like, you have to put this out there, whatever it is. And I was like, crap. I was like, and there's no way they didn't know all the stuff that was there. Like, I know you get it in millions of people's hands. And there are things, as you said, like there was a thing in Division 2 because they're like, don't use the drone because it's going to crash other people's games. Like, that's a pretty big one that you're like, how much do you guys play test this? Like, and those are the same things you have to ask even more on Anthem to be like, how much you guys play test this? Because it seems like squat. So those are some of the pieces of just like things being rushed and hurried, live as a service. Their speed of like having 200 fixes already is a good thing, but you had to fix 200 things is a bad thing.
Absolutely.
So like it's the fact that they're able to make and adapt changes quickly. They're also kind of being a bit stubborn when it comes to the loot, because the bugged times when the loot drops like Crazy Town and people love it, because again, you're at the random rolls and then they keep taking it away. Everybody's like, why are you doing that? So there's a lot of options out there. Like Destiny has like some cool things, like a Gambit Prime is cool, but then you have a set of armor that works in literally one bubble on your director. Not even normal it literally says Gambit in the word Gambit, and then it only works in Gambit Prime. How can you not carry that stuff over to Gambit? Maybe not even all the perks, but like the collector making the motes last longer, the invader set having an overshield, like some of those things could still carry over. You might not be able to have like bonuses on the envoys, or like the way the third envoy works for your, like, that's your Slayer phase. That might be a little different, but some of the perks could work. Like, so there's at least a little more use. So, I mean, it's like, hey, we did sets. It's like you struck out hardcore when you tried to do sets. Like, in theory, some of the perks are cool. It gives you different roles, stuff like that. You need a lot more of them, and you need to have some more general bonuses to them as well.
I agree.
It's like Anthem comes out, face plants. They're working on fixing it, and they are working their absolute butts off. Division comes out. Here's a lot of content. Division's like, hey guys, we've been working on this. We've been like doing our research. We kind of put all this stuff in there, and people can play this for a while. So you got 50 hours of content. You got the Black Tusk that comes in. Like, and that's a game for me. It's like, as I'm going to work on Sekiro first, but when that first playthrough is done, Division's my next piece. And that's going to be something that sounds like, for me, not worrying as much about the Dark Zone. I know I harp on it, but I don't need to this time around. And they learned that lesson. So that's a piece on Division. I can solo the whole damn game, solo the Black Tusk, like work on these legendary missions. And then if I have people on, I can join them too. But I was like, that's kind of what we've all been saying, is they all need to pay attention to learn. But I honestly worry about Bungie versus the other two, because they cannot act fast enough. Yeah,
they got to get on it, man. Because the other two have shown that they are way more faster. So again, the good thing about this is this brings competition back into the fold. These guys can reinvest. These guys can really get back into it. And cars are driving. Okay, cool. But outside of that, like, they can really double down and really try to fix and salvage. And like I said, if they're good, if Anthem's good, if Division's good, Force is Destiny's hand. That's what I want. Competition is a beautiful thing, bro.
Yeah. So I mean, that pretty much wraps up this week, I'd say. I mean, Division kicks, like, positive thoughts on Division. Most people are enjoying it. I mean, reviews I've seen, you know, 8s, 9s. I mean, no game of that size is going to be perfect, but of what is out there, people are enjoying most of it. Like the gameplay has a vast amount of crap to do. So
I'm really having a good time with it. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I have. It's really been fun.
And then you got, you know, twabs will just watch and see what Destiny decides to think. If the community summit, if they get a good mix of people, like hopefully representing everyone from like your hardcore first day, you know, world's first people to hopefully them being aware enough for Reddits and Twitters and things like that to be like, hey, the other side, the casuals, like, how do you balance? You don't want to over casualize it, but it's like you're not making any better choices just by trying to slow everybody down because the top people are still going to do it. So, and then to wrap everything up, Anthem as well. It's like I still want to jump back. I haven't played that in a little while because I've just been kind of waiting for things to kind of settle. So I know it's one though. It's like when I jump on my Interceptor, my brother was like, I haven't even actually touched it since the patch. He said the Interceptor like feels damn good now. Like the melee was buffed as the difficulty went up. So now the Interceptor's like feeling strong. So I definitely want to jump back on my Space Ninja.
No doubt, man. I'm going to touch it too, man. I would love to see, like I said, when they add new stuff, patch it up, do what they got to do, and give the community what they want. Yeah, man. The game feels good, look great, play, you know, like I said, great. I would love to get back in there again.
Yeah, and I do want one more announcement to all you guys out there. I'm also going to like record this before the podcast as well and kind of stick it on the front of the video version for me. So if you want to put it in the notes on your side as well.
Sure.
Podcast, I know you guys catch it on Twitch. I know you guys see it on the YouTube channel. It is an audio only form now. And I want to shout out Anchor.fm. Thank you, Mark from Guardian Radio.
Nice.
It was really, really, really easy process. I hadn't even done much audio, and I know you'd done it more, but I just tried to be like, all right, so here's the audio. It took care of like everything. So this podcast is on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on Google Podcasts. There's like 4 other platforms it's on for the new podcast. So I'm like, it's on like 8 different podcast platforms right now. So if you guys are looking for it, this one will be going up today or tomorrow. So the audio will be there, and that will be a thing going forward. So I've got from number 50 going forward. I didn't go back that far. Yeah, so audio is live and will be there. So that's a way for you guys to take the podcast with you as opposed to be like, YouTube is killing me for a 3-hour podcast.
Exactly. So. Big request finally got done. Like I said, you got that audio going. We're moving up in the world a little bit.
We're trying.
We're trying to get legit, man. Yo, shout out to Slow-Mo too, man. Shout out to these guys, Josh, for coming through. Great guests, man. You want to do these outros real quick after we made the big announcement?
Yeah. So I mean, shout out to the guests. Thank them for coming in. Of course, like it's nice to have other opinions for sure before I start like ranting about cores in between us as we always talk. So good to have different people in here, especially when things like Division, like it's a huge looter shooter launches. Let's get people who've definitely been in there and, you know, no life did up to 450 or 420 scores. Like,
multiple characters too.
That's some work right there. So
putting in work.
And then Josh jumping in from the coffee shop. Thank you, sir, for making the step. Like, hey, it's like wherever he's at, he's like, I'm getting on there. I'm going to make it work one way or the other. So definitely thank you. Yeah, seriously. So thank you for getting in here, dropping some lore bombs on us and having an awesome time. But for me, it's easy. It's Ebontis everywhere. So if you guys are listening, watching, you can find me on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter. It's EBONTIS, Ebontis. And, you know, if you find a cheetah, you're in the right place. So you know where to find me. And I've been trying to stream a lot more. I'm trying to figure out my damn streaming upload. I got to go harass my cable company again. So all of those pieces aside, that's where you guys are going to find me. And I'm going to be streaming a lot of Sekiro. So that's going to be a learning experience live. So you guys can watch me struggle hardcore, hopefully in the beginning. And then if I can get my act together and be skilled, might actually see about some videos and boss guides and stuff like that. So I will see if I can feel like I'm good enough to get a guide out there. Because if I'm sucking it up, then I'm not going to tell you guys how to do it.
Yeah, man. You already know for me on Twitter at Lord Cognito. You know, check us out. ILP, Iron Lords Podcast, Sunday. Special time actually is going to be 2 p.m. Eastern because we want to adhere to our special guest from New Zealand. It is the one and only Bella Rise of Real Games Media. And she's actually one of the first people that really supported Iron Lord Podcast from the back of the day. She's a former game developer herself, hardcore gamer. Haven't had her on in a long time. We're going to talk a lot about some Stadia and it's streaming the future.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting topic. Like, not what we're going to break down today, but yeah, definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, buckle up, man. We're going to have a lot to say about that. So again, it's going to be like I said, 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday and on the Iron Lord Podcast YouTube channel. And again, please, like again, shout out to Slow-Mo again, and shout out to Josh Redding. Again, please check out lordsofgaming.net if you can, man. It's our website. You got guys like Josh. We got some really cool, talented guys out there and putting out articles. And if you want good Destiny articles, especially the lore, he's got a killer one right now about the Invitation to the Nine. He's really doing a good job, man. So salute to those guys in the writing team. And we're just doing it, grassroots, man, for the people, for the, gamers talking about games. Good stuff. But yeah, check us out, man. Iron Lord Podcast, you already know. And of course, The Last Word every Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Full disclosure, I am not going to be here next week because the Lords are going to be in PAX East. So we're going to
check them out, guys. Follow them. Follow the YouTube page, Iron Lords Podcast. They will probably be getting some videos up as well. Maybe getting to see if they can get some nice exclusivity on anything.
Yeah, I mean,
some early looks.
There's a rumor of a certain Gearbox game that a lot of people like that you may be seeing firsthand. So stay tuned.
We don't need another looter shooter. Jesus,
I know
the
OG. We're gonna have to have another topic. I mean, but as the show evolves, we'll see. But
yeah, be like everybody's like, my God, Last Word is 4 freaking hours. You guys are too long.
We went to 4 looter shooters. Yeah, man. So we already know what the rumors are. They've been hinting at it heavily. We're gonna be out there for 4 days. So probably next week we'll catch back. The week after, I'll link up with my man E and we'll do it again. But yeah, when you get a chance, please, again, stay tuned, buckle up for PAX East. It's supposed to be a lot being shown, and we can't wait to get our hands on it and cover it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Chat's been awesome, both sides on ILP and right here on Twitch on Mind. You guys have been awesome today. So thank you guys. Great commentary. Thank you guys for hanging out. Check out the audio versions in case you missed some of it because it is out there as well. And that is The Last Word.
Peace.
Have a good one.